ಗಜವದನ ಬೇಡುವೆ ಗೌರಿ ತನಯ ತ್ರಿಜಗವಂದಿತನೆ ಸುಜನರ ಪುರಿವನೆ ಗಜವದನ ಬೇಡುವೆ ಮೋದದಿ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಪಾದವ ತೋರು ಸಾಧುವಂದಿದನೆ ಆದರದಿಂದಲೇ ಸರಸಿ ಜನಾಭ ಶ್ರೀ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನೆ ನಿರುತನೆ ನೆಯುವಂತೆ ದಯಮಾಡು ದೇವ ನಿರುತನೆ ನೆಯುವಂತೆ ದಯಮಾಡು ದೇವ ಗಜವದನ ಬೇಡುವೆ ಗೌರಿ ತನಯ ತ್ರಿಜಗವಂದಿತನೆ ಸುಜನರ ಪುರಿವನೆ ಗಜವದನ ಬೇಡುವೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you, ma'am. Darkness could not drive out the blackness. Only light can accomplish so. Let us hope that the brightness of education overcomes the darkness of divisions, injustice, and aggression in society and leads us to the growth of equality and liberty. I request all the dignitaries on stage to join for the limelighting. Thank you, everyone. Now I request our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, to felicitate our Chief Guest, Professor T.G. Sitharam, Honorable Chairman, AICTE. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Mamta R. Agarwal, Advisor, AICTE, to felicitate our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. P. Shamaraju. Now I request Dr. Ramesh Unnikrishnan, Advisor, AICTE, to welcome the gathering.
the most respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. A very good morning to all of you, and welcome to the beautiful REVA University in the city of Bangalore. As all of us are aware, it's the mission declared by the Government of India to uplift our country as a superpower in the domain of semiconductor and VLSI. And in that context, AICTE has been envisaged with the task to spearhead the process of creation of talent pool in the VLSI and semiconductor domain. In line with the same, about a year back, exactly in the city of Bangalore, so we had announced two courses, one at the UG level with electronics engineering with VLSI design and technology, and a diploma in IC manufacturing. And it is very happy to note that many colleges have taken up the course also. So it was promised last year that before the students enter the second year, AICTE will be coming up with a model curriculum for the same. And we could keep our word, and today, in the presence of all of you, Honorable Chairman, AICTE will be launching the model curriculum. Now, let me move on to the task envisaged on me, that is to welcome the gathering person on the dais and off the dais. Professor T.G. Sitharam, sir, having a very rich experience of academia and research, hailing from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, and also uplifting IIT Guwahati from its prestigious level to another level of glory in a couple of years, has joined All India Council for Technical Education as its chairman about 2 months back. And we all, the entire technical education fraternity, is so thrilled to work under him, as he has a very clear vision on how in the few years to come, India can be converted as the higher education destination for the entire world. On behalf of all of us assembled over here, let me welcome Professor T.G. Sitharam, sir, to this function. Thank you, sir. Let me welcome Honorable Shyamaraju, sir, the Chancellor of REVA University, for being kind enough to spare his entire campus for this prestigious event. On behalf of AICTE and all of us present over here, let me welcome Professor Shyamaraju, sir. We have with us present over here Dr. Neeraj Saxena, Advisor of Institution Development Cell. You all might be aware of him, as he is the creator of the prestigious Idea Lab, which is now a passion among the entire faculty and students, where they are getting an ample opportunity to experiment what they learn in the classroom. On behalf of all of us present over here, I welcome Dr. Neeraj Saxena, sir, to this function. Dr. Mamta Rani Agarwal, Advisor, Atal Academy, needs no introduction. Madam is heading the Atal Bureau. I think almost all prominent faculty members across the country would have attended at least one or two of the Atal FDPs. This Atal FDPs has been elevated to such a prestigious level that it emerged as one among the recipient of the World Book of Record for having maximum number of teachers trained in a single day. On behalf of all of us present over here, let me welcome Mamta Madam. Professor Dhananjaya needs no words for introduction. He is the Vice Chancellor of this beautiful. Rather than we being tensed about the conduct of this program, he was more tensed, almost every day calling, sir, what about this, what about that? That shows his involvement and passion towards the accomplishment of any task entrusted on him. On behalf of AICTE, I welcome Dr. Dhananjaya to this function. Today's event is planned to be an open-ended event. We have equally, just like AICTE is here, we have renowned industry partners also here. Despite being an auspicious day of Mahashivaratri, to you, all the faculty members and students who are present over here. Again, we were initially having a doubt whether having this function during Shivaratri, whether how it may be taken up, but without hesitance, everyone, almost all the colleges where we send the invitation, they have nominated the faculty. Many have come, many have joined online to see what is happening here. So on behalf of AICTE, we welcome all of you to this function. Now, before concluding my welcome address, I would like to thank my team of experts who had badly involved in converting or the creation of this syllabus. I would like to name them. My committee of academicians who worked hard to bring out this syllabus comprised of Professor Saurabh Lodha from IIT Bombay, Professor Shivaramakrishnan from IIT Hyderabad, Professor Ravindra Patrikar from VNIT, Professor Shushoban Agasti from IISc Bangalore, and Dr. Pushpangadan Ramesh from Government Engineering College, Munnar. So on behalf of AICT and entire teaching fraternity, I would like to thank my team for their continuous series of sittings they conducted in various parts of the country, interaction with industry, and coming out with a beautiful curriculum, which Honorable Chairman will be launching maybe within a minute from now. With this, once again, welcoming you all to this function, let me wind up my words. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of REVA University, I extend my warm welcome to you too, sir. Please accept our token of gratitude. Now, I request Dr. Raki Nanjia, MEITY, Government of India, to address the gathering on the government initiatives virtually.
Hello. Okay. So I am not able to see me. So good morning, eminent speakers and attendees. Good morning, eminent speakers and attendees. Myself, Dr. Rakhi Nangia from Ministry of Electronics and IT. So I will make a brief presentation giving an overview of government visions for building a Semiconductor India program and more on what government is exactly doing for capacity building and skilling excellence program under this Semicon India program. Able to change my slides. Yeah. So coming to India's semiconductor market, that was, it is in full screen mode, sir. So coming to India's market, so that stands about $15 billion in 2020, and that is expected to grow to $110 billion by 2030, and that would be nearly 10% of global semiconductor market. So in view of growing demand of semiconductor and in view of in the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, Cabinet approved the Semicon India program with a total outlay of nearly $10 billion, covering all the verticals of semiconductor ecosystem. As the semiconductor industry is a very technology and knowledge intensive, so it needs dedicated programs for capacity building and skilling in semiconductor domain. Keeping this in view, up to 2%, 2.5% of the total outlay of the scheme has been earmarked for R&D, skill development and training. So coming to India's opportunity, an estimated shortage of skilled workforce in semiconductor domain is going to be nearly 4 lakh, if not addressed. In US alone, nearly 90,000 semiconductor engineers and workforce is required for new fab announcements, and more workforce would be needed because there are very new fab announcements is going to be in Taiwan, Korea, Europe, Japan, Malaysia, and in India also. So India should tap this opportunity. It is a great opportunity for India to tap this gap. In India, nearly 1,500,000 electronics and computer design engineers and diploma holders pass out, but as an estimate, nearly 40 to 50% remain unemployed or move to other sector because of non-availability of jobs in this electronics core domain of semiconductor. So it's a great opportunity for India to protect this gap. Earlier, government has announced various policies and programs like India program, program, yes, that are implemented by CDEC, NIDET, but this time, yes, I have shared the screen. Should I continue from here only? Sir, the screen is shared from my side. Should I escape and again share?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We'll connect it after a bit, once the technical issue is resolved.
Sir, from my side, the screen is shared. Hello, are you able to see my screen?
No, ma'am. Yeah, now it is visible.
How is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so should I start from where?
Ma'am, we can
Okay.
continue later. You can
Till which
continue
time
later.
I was audible? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. If you're comfortable, you can carry on, ma'am.
Okay. So I was talking about the India's opportunity as an estimate. So estimated shortage of global workforce in next 5 years, nearly 4 lakh. There is a shortage of nearly 4 lakh engineers in semiconductor domain. In US alone, nearly 90,000 semiconductor engineers and diploma holders are needed for new fabs announced. Similarly, in Taiwan, Korea, Europe, Japan, Malaysia, and India as well, there is to be going a lots of demand for semiconductor engineer. So India should take this as a great opportunity and should tap this gap because India is producing nearly 1,500,000 electronics and computer science engineers and diploma holders every year. But out of which nearly 40 to 50% remain unemployed or they move to other sector because of the because of non-awareness of this sector and because of no jobs in this sector as of now. So earlier, ministry and government has announced various schemes and programs such as Vishwesharya PhD scheme, SMDP Chip to Startup program, INUP program, and similarly ESDN schemes that were implemented by CDEC, NILET, and Electronic Sector Skill Council of India. But this time, the vision is different. And this time, the vision is to make India as a global semiconductor nation so as uh, to nucleate an end-to-end talent development ecosystem for enabling a sustainable pipeline of the semiconductor talent and to cater domestic as well as global demand. So in view of this and with the vision of Honorable Minister of State, a committee was constituted to develop a roadmap for talent development in semiconductor domain. So as a recent update, the committee has submitted its report, that is Semicon India Future Skills Talent Committee report, wherein there is listing of recommendations for design, manufacturing, display, and other sectors of semiconductor. So now is the time to implement these recommendations. So the implementation is also under process, and the Ministry of Electronics is in discussion with Ministry of Education to set up and accelerate this process for adoption of semiconductor skills in higher education. So as a nutshell, we can say that India has enough talent base, but the need is of appropriate training, lab exercises, and industry internship to make them industry ready. So for to meet this, government is taking a phased approach for capacity building. Government is taking two strategies: short-term strategies and long-term strategies. In short term, the government is focusing on introduction of semiconductor related courses at diploma and UG levels through Ministry of Electronics and AICTE, and simultaneously government is also facilitating training programs, internships, and hands-on training at semiconductor laboratory. That is a strategic fab of India from very long. And in long-term strategy, what the government is taking steps for recalibration of courses and various structured training programs at government organizations like SITAR, GATEC, and SEL. And similarly, government is also discussing a setup of an R&D institutions that would be very in line, such as IMEC Belgium and Italy Taiwan. So these are the various steps government is taking towards capacity building and talent development in Semicon India program.
Thank you, ma'am, for the valuable information. As rightly quoted by Plato, the direction in which education starts, a man will determine his future in life. On this note, I request our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. P. Shamaraju, sir, to address the gathering.
Very warm and very good morning to Prof T.G. Sitharam, Honorable Chairman, AICTE, Dr. Neeraj Saxena, Dr. Mamta Agarwal, Dr. Ramesh Unnikrishnan, and Vice Chancellor of REVA University, and dignitaries from industry and various universities or institutions, and our own students and faculty. It is a pleasure and privilege to have this program here launched in REVA University. I'm really thankful to the AICTE team. I'm not talking as a chancellor of REVA University. In general, I am talking. We came to Educational Institute to do something to the society. At the same time, I think some of you might have heard my TV channels, how I speak. That is what we are practicing in the university also. Universities are responsible how the society behaves, whether it is good or bad. Really, if we put our heart and soul and mold students, the total change in the society can bring in. It is possible only through educational institutions. That's why I always speak, we are responsible on the behavior of the society. Why I am telling this? What children will learn? What is education? According to me, what children will learn out of textbook, out of classroom and lab is very important. I always insist project-based learning should happen, hands-on experience should happen. That will not happen in classroom or through textbook or labs. Here we definitely insist the students should be in projects. That is the benefit we have here. Our students will have because we are from developing background. We have all the projects right from scratch to plug and play in South India in cities. I strongly believe that educational institutions are responsible and it is our duty. We should take that responsibility and build the society through the youngsters who are pursuing studies in various education institutions. Once again, I thank the AICTE chairman and team for giving us the opportunity to host this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Neeraj Saxena, Advisor, AICTE, to present the Idea Lab.
Good morning, Namaskar, Jai Hind. To all the enthusiasts, promoters, supporters, champions, luminaries, intellectuals, veterans, all who have come together to this occasion, responding to the call from AICTE to join hands for the Atmanirbhar Bharat through the Semiconductor Mission. We are taking steps towards ensuring that the manpower that AICTE institutions source to this country are perfectly as required by the industry. Fine-tunings are required, and it is very happy augury that we have the national education policy. And the pandemic that we had shown us many things which were actually obfuscating our vision. What we actually need is learning, not education. Education has come because of the industrial society and the requirements it had for trained or conditioned manpower. If you go back to the pre-industrial societies, it was all learning in India, and we commanded 1/3 of the global GDP. And it was through learning, not education. And there is a difference. In this pandemic, we have seen the teachers have survived, students have survived, institutions have survived, classrooms have taken a hit. We don't say it openly, but there is a change. There is a realization that the time we fix for our classrooms is actually not the right one for learning. It may be good for education, but not for learning. So what we need actually in our campuses now is transactions in experiences, experiential learning, and not just instructions or passing on knowledge and information. So the system has to be rebuilt, and we have a lot of clues in the NEP. We talk about curriculum, we are proposing one, but it needs to be uncovered, not covered, before the students. It is challenges which get embedded in this curriculum which will excite the students more, because a challenge allows failures. Whereas if you prescribe curriculum, it is just, it encourages you to pass the students to pass from one semester, 1 year. Therefore, even the role of teacher also has to change. From a sage on the stage to guide by the side, it is now settling down back at the back. And the role of teacher, as we have known, from Adhyapak to Upadhyay, and at the highest level, the Guru. The bottom two are lost to the machines. We have seen it. Online classrooms, online learning happens from the row one of the classrooms. So the teachers, as transmitters of knowledge, have very little role to play now. And because we are having our entire system based on predetermined content, we have examinations which just test memory, which allow education to happen but not learning, because it does not allow or encourage failures. So some of these things are not very clearly spelled out in the new education policy, but there are vital clues in it so that we are able to remodel the education. Institutions also have to respond quickly. They have to be resilient. The onslaught of technologies are going to be very hard. The changes are going to be very fast. And institutions have to evolve as learner-centered. They have to be supportive of learners. And the teachers also have to be looked as learners to be acceptable in the new dispensation. So all this sounds a bit rosy and a blown up talk, but we walked the talk. We created Idea Labs, and idea is idea development, evaluation, and application. So we have those labs, and few Idea Lab institutions are here right there in the audience, and they will be able to vouch for that. These are 24/7 accessible with advanced facilities under one roof to convert an idea into a prototype. Open full time, all along. It promotes experiential learning and multidisciplinary education, and also integration into the courses. Immersive faculty development programs to prepare faculty. We have started with faculty. We have focused entirely on faculty, and we have developed them. And it is not, the FDPs that we conduct are not discipline-wise. So faculty from mechanical also attends electronics. So we have kept that open. After all, we want multidisciplinarity to set in a big way. We have a mechanism for mentoring, monitoring, and oversight by experts from industry and academia. This is rarely heard in any government schemes, and oversight, a continuous one. We have integration with iSTEM portal. Professor Shivshankar is here. He'll be speaking in the next session. We decided to plug in and complement each other's efforts. And this lab that we have created, Idea Lab, is not a conventional lab which remains available or is open only for a few hours. So this is about the design, how we play it out. And I'm happy to share some achievements also. We have, as on date, 93 Idea Labs, from Vallabh Vidyanagar in Gujarat to Agartala in Tripura, from Bathinda in Punjab down to Attingal in Kerala. 19 in between, and this week we are closing the next call for proposals, and it is in self-finance mode. Almost 40 institutions have come on their own and said, we don't want money, we will set up Idea Lab. More than 70,000 students in just 8 months have come into Idea Labs. 10,000 faculty. And interestingly, 10,000 school children. Idea Labs have emerged as mentors to Atal Tinkering Lab. We never thought this will happen. It happened organically. A conventional lab is just one in the department, but our Idea Lab is available to polytechnics, ITIs, tinkering labs, and anyone walking outside. We have been able to make core branches more attractive through this due to hands-on experience, which we are trying to get integrated with the course itself. And I know that when industries look towards their potential employees, they also look for AICTE. And that AICTE to me is attitude, ingenuity, confidence, tech savviness, and most important, ethics. I think this is what is needed by the industry, not just the technical knowledge. And many have agreed for this. They want ethical people now. And so VLSI, which I tweak or distort as very little students interested, should be, with all your efforts, whatever you can do, should become another VLSI, very large scope for interested students and teachers, not just students. So in the name it is semi, but our efforts have to be full. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the valuable information. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Mamta R. Agarwal, Advisor, AICTE, to present on the Atal Academy.
Namaskara. Good morning on a very, very auspicious day of Mahashivratri. All the distinguished guests on the dais and off the dais, our very, very distinguished and prominent chairman, Professor T.G. Sitharam, who all you will be very happy to know is one of the most prominent researchers, not only in India, but across the world. And he has been recognized as among the top 2% researchers by the Stanford University across the globe. Dr. Shyama Raju, who is the chancellor of this beautiful university, a quality champion, and this university is a testament of his quality championship. My worthy colleagues, Neeraj Saxena ji, Unni ji, a very dynamic Vice Chancellor of REVA University, all the distinguished people, experts from the industry, whom I'm very, very gratitudinal for accepting our request for coming over here. My friend from ARM India, Apurva, who is sitting, who has really been very instrumental for AICTE, for all the FDPs on semiconductors. Friends from academia, faculty members, and dear students. It is indeed a proud privilege to be here and addressing this August gathering. I, Dr. Mamta Agarwal, Senior Advisor, Advisor 1 at AICTE, heading Atal. Atal is actually AICTE's Training and Learning Academy, invested with the work of faculty training. And it's a very, very celebrated academy, has received various awards and accolades over the year. I will very quickly be dividing my talk into 3 different sections. What is the need for continuous faculty development, need for continuous teacher training? That is part 1. Part 2 is what AICTE has been doing through Atal Academy in the times or in the past year. And then what is it that we are here for, and what am I requesting all of you, my dear faculty members and prominent experts from the industry. So when I talk about that, let us look at the present scenario. What kind of a scenario we are into? So when we look at some of the overarching realities, when I talk to the educators around the world, I have never come across any country where there is so much excitement around the field of education as it is in India. And the reason is National Education Policy 2020. NEP 2020 has been disrupting the field of academia the way semiconductors have been disrupting how electronics have actually been working. So few of the overarching realities are, all of you know, and if you have been following the reports, in this year itself, 150 million new jobs would be created. Jobs require different skill sets. Jobs require different types of training. Jobs require different kind of knowledge, attitude, and skill. And 75 million jobs existing jobs that are repetitive in nature will be displaced by the end of this year itself. Second, a McKinsey survey has very clearly shown that 85% managers they interviewed wanted to hire students, wanted to hire employees for the skill sets and not for the roles. I am repeating, for the skill sets and not for the roles. They were interested to hire people who could fit into any kind of role based on their skill set and attitude. They are looking for more freelancers. They are looking for more temporary employment rather than having a permanent role-based employment. Thirdly, and as everyone knows, our life expectancy is continuously growing. And then if I have to live for 90 years, if my students have to live for 90 years, and they would have an average working time of 60 years or 50 to 60 years with distinct 6 careers, what I teach them today, would it continue to be relevant and in demand for another 60 years? So I'm sure all of you know the answer. So this is one of the overarching reality. So teaching learning is changing. The way industry is functioning is changing. The way industry is hiring is changing. The way technology is replacing some of the repetitive manual work is changing. So when we have this kind of scenario, so what is it needed? We need to focus on 2 core academia stakeholders. Of course, each one of us are a stakeholder, but 2 core stakeholders, students and teachers. And as they say, the way teachers are, the same way students are. So faculty, it is faculty development. And when we talk about faculty members, as my colleague was saying, Neeraj Saxena ji was saying, teaching learning will no longer be limited to a classroom or to a laboratory or to a library. Library, laboratory, or a classroom is just a stimulating cubicle. Learning will be everywhere, and when you have an open source learning, more than teachers, you would actually be a mentor, a troubleshooter, a guide, a coach, who can actually tell them how to utilize this available knowledge into applications, how to translate this available knowledge base into something that is very, very meaningful for the academia, for the industry, and ultimately for making lives better. That is for the community as well as for the society. So this was my point 1. So we need teachers who can actually create students and make sure that they can create students who have multi-stakeholder sensitivity. So see, it's a flat world. What I do impacts everyone. So if there is climate change, if there are Amazon fires, if there are deadly tsunamis, then each one of us are contributing. So when I teach my students, I want that they must have multi-stakeholder sensitivity. They should have multi-generational adaptability. Our classrooms, our universities are the best example. One of our professor can be 65, 70 years old, and then my student is 17 to 18 years old. So we have a gap of 6 to 7 generations. So we require multi-generational adaptability and definitely multicultural relatability. We require students who are agile, who are resilient, who have control over their emotions. There is no point having a student or an employer who may have 2 PhDs but is not able to control her or his own emotions. So when we require all these things, we require exceptional faculty members. In Hindi or in our own philosophy, Indian philosophy, we say a journey from Adhyapak to Guru. So we require that. So this was my point number 1. And I would very quickly finish what we have been doing at Atal Academy. So AICTE's Training and Learning Academy has been conducting faculty development program. We have 3 types: basic, advanced, and then academic leadership programs. We have also been with the logistics policy with government has launched, and PM Gati Shakti also for Indian knowledge system. These are some of the objectives: comprehensive, continuous, rigorous learning. Hands-on learning is what is the objective of Atal FDPs. These are some of the accomplishment of the past year. This is a very good number. We trained close to 2.5 lakh faculty members in last year. 1,544 faculty development programs conducted. Out of this, close to 800 with the industry on a pro bono mode. And we have had, these are some of our international contributions. I would also come to these in my later slides. The best part is that our reach in terms of the district, we reach to close to 89% districts level penetration we have in India. So it is a wider reach Atal FDPs. See, we don't only try to teach. These are a very, as Saxena ji was saying, that we even expect, we make multidisciplinary teams, any different discipline-based teams, and then all the participating faculty members also need to review 2 articles from very reputed journals. There is a reflection journal on the outcome of the FDP as to what has been their learning from that specific FDP. These are some of the areas, and on the PM Gati Shakti's National Master Plan, these are our focus areas. Our major thrust areas in these. We have conducted close to 50 faculty development programs on semiconductors and integrated circuits, some with the industry, like ARM India, Cadence Design Systems, and so on and so forth. Yes, ST Microelectronics. So we have conducted few of these FDPs with the industry. Now we have various industrial tie-ups. Some of the most renowned industrial tie-up, and I'm sure all of you may have gone through, that Tech Saksham is a tie-up with Microsoft and SAP, and where we specifically train faculty members and girl students from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities coming from the institutions that are not so well known. So if the NAC grading is B or B+, then only we take those students. Then we have had, I have already spoken about these. Then we have AICTE and ARM India MOU. So we have trained more than 9,500 faculty members, and there was an inventor challenge where participants were students under the coaching and training of their teachers. And they came up with 258 prototypes. 8 were selected as winners and 2 are being commercialized. So it is a academia industry transfer of knowledge. These are some of other which we have. So, and we have had various global recognitions for that. Now I stand before all of you and make a request on behalf of AICTE that if we really want to create those competent manpower, then we all need to come together, join hands, become very, very active partner of this academia industry linkage. Then only our faculty members can be trained not only in academic aspects, but also on what industry is needing, what is the needs of the industry, what are the current trends, what are the futuristic trends. So I call upon all of you and request, please come together for internships, please come together for faculty development program, and we are all open to receiving very valuable suggestions from all of you. Let us all come together and make India an Atmanirbhar Bharat through joining hands and making academy industrial linkage, specifically on semiconductor industry, a good one. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your valuable insights. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. On this note, I invite our chief guest, Professor T.G. Sitharam, Honorable Chairman, AICTE, to launch the model curricula and to address the gathering.
Namaskar. Very good morning to all of you. Dr. P. Shamaraju, Honorable Chancellor of REVA University. Dr. Dhananjaya, Honorable Vice Chancellor of REVA University. Dr. Rakhi Nangia from MIT, and all my colleagues from AICTE, and most prominent semiconductor industry experts who have assembled here. First of all, let me place our sincere thanks from All India Council for Technical Education to REVA University for accepting our interest to hold this event in their campus at a very short notice. I also would like to place our sincere thanks for the efforts of the committee who took this as a challenge and worked out both the diploma and undergraduate curriculum in the semiconductor area. Also, a minor program, which is going to be very unique one in the BTech curriculum. I once again express my sincere thanks to the prominent semiconductor industry experts who have assembled here, and also their support and interest in this field. Friends, we are all living in an exciting times in this digital era. And particularly the COVID-19 has changed the way we do our business. The world is also fast changing with disruptive innovations. And it is impacting every sphere of our lives. Education sector is no exception. National Education Policy 2020, which is launched by the Government of India, has given the impetus to the education sector and will boost the activities in higher education sector. This is where India is very strong in the area of STEM. We produce large number of engineers, and these have to be a global engineers for the whole world. Then we have a bigger challenge. There is a challenge as well as there is an advantage. All India Council for Technical Education has taken this as a challenge, and we would like to make India as a global educational knowledge superpower even in the semiconductor area. To make it happen, we need to work with all the stakeholders in the semiconductor domain. The event today is basically, the objective of this event is just that. We would like to collaborate, cooperate, and bring the expertise in the semiconductor area, whether it is in teaching, innovation, entrepreneurship, research, and finally at the end of the day, how this is going to be useful for the community. The disruptive innovation, which is propelled by the digital and communication technology, in particularly in the semiconductors and chips, is in fact offering the world as an advantage, but particularly for India, this is becoming a challenge. We need to be there in that space. Today only we are looking at Taiwan and other countries. Last year, a Taiwanese delegation came to IIT Guwahati, had a detailed discussion of setting up their plants in India, particularly in the Northeast. I think these things we need to fast forward and do much more quickly, because we do have a very significant presence of designer in the country, but the actual manufacturing, you need to set it up much more in a bigger way. The first such effort was been announced by the government of India in the state of Gujarat. So, hoping that this is going to be a very big change soon, as per the government of India's vision plan to emerge as a semiconductor nation. In the first phase itself, an announcement of 76,000 crores for this particular scheme by the government of India for setting up of semiconductor and display fabs along with the chip ecosystem. And we heard from the ministry representative that the government of India has launched the India Semiconductor Mission in April 2022. So we are almost one year completing. With the vision of the Indian Semiconductor Mission to build a vibrant semiconductor and display ecosystem to enable India's emergence as a global player. And also it becomes a global hub for electronics, manufacturing and design. So this mission is going to be acting like a focal point for the comprehensive, coherent, efficient and smooth deployment of the program for the development of semiconductor display ecosystem. To make this happen, we need our young people to be trained in these areas. And there is specifically, we have looked at the entire curriculum of the semiconductor and chip making, the country. There is a presence somewhere in the postgraduate courses. We hardly seen any undergraduate program except one in Shastra University. And the vision of the government is to inculcate this concept even in the school education, at least to understand what are semiconductors, where are they being used, how it will be useful to the society to transform. So in that effort, government is actually taking steps to bring in changes in the curriculum, even in the school education. But here we have assembled here for the higher education to look at what is happening. So we have started with the diploma and postgraduate, the undergraduate curriculum. And as I told you, postgraduate already exists. And we need to also do more in the research domain. Coming from an institute like Indian Institute of Science, we thought that we should have more programs on research and more PhD students should be joining in this area. So at IIT Guwahati, we had several discussions on this front. We thought that we will also utilize the existing resources, what we have created in the Nano Mission, to augment the activities in the semiconductor mission. I think this is going to be a big, big step if we are able to work and bring all those people, scientists who are working in the Nano Mission to work together, because there are some basic facilities already exist, like the clean rooms. Coming to the academia industry interaction, which is another objective of today's meeting, it's very, very important today that we need to work together. Working together, not in sort of in a silos, we need to maybe integrate that most. So in that process, AICTE also has introduced what is called as a professor of practice. So I invite all the industry experts to take some time off, start associating with our universities. All the institutions, wherever you are. If you are in Chennai, you approach some institutions in Chennai. Start teaching, sharing your experience with the young people. So this is very, very important because India has that advantage of very young people, youngest nation in the world. AICTE has actually set up a roadmap for capacity building in the semiconductor domain. And the current scenario is one is the curriculum development, and the other is the manpower availability for making a semiconductor mission successful. So we have made our sincere attempt to develop this curriculum And again, thanks the experts. So if you can see, all of our experts, the majority of them from our IITs and IICs, were very talented and contributed extensively to this area. We have roped them in. And I have seen them, working weeks together and sitting in AICTE office. So that's a very beautiful thing. They just don't come and attend a meeting and observe and leave. They, in fact, sit down, write, discuss, deliberate, and then bring out this document. And this is not final anyway. We also strongly believe, AICTE also strongly believe, giving autonomy in curriculum development to the teachers is very, very important. So we should not be very, very rigid. Okay, this is my syllabus. I have to complete by month of April. I think that should go. We should have an objective of learning rather than. So that's where the Idea Lab would gives the teachers as well as students an opportunity to try hands-on. Friends, I have said many things about the semiconductors and the objective of today's meeting, but let me also take you through what will be the vision, because this is one of the very few first meetings I am attending as a chairman of All India Council for Technical Education. I served as a director of IIT Guwahati, where we thought that we should have the industry located within the campus, and work with our faculty and students. So that was a very big achievement for us there. So we were able to establish about 25 companies in our research park at IIT Guwahati, which is a very further northeast. Many of you might not have even traveled there. Even I was not gone there before 2005. It was a difficult location to go there. So today, I'm very proud to tell you, during the pandemic year, where most of the things were online, we were able to establish 25 companies and 25 technology transfer from our faculty to the industry. I think this is an advantage of COVID-19. COVID-19 gave a lot of time, because there was all the social activities have stopped, because you can't even meet your friend or meet your own relative. Okay, everybody was scared of you to bring the COVID to them, so it was all happening online. So luckily, we moved very quickly, very fast. We leapfrogged, maybe I can tell you, and usage of technology in higher education. Because of that, we got a lot of time. So our faculty spent a lot of time, and many new things we were able to do. First of all, we had transformed IIT Guwahati to a multidisciplinary, truly a research university. See, friends, all of you know that when IITs were started, we still hear from our very senior accomplished scientists, IITs were very good institutions, we shouldn't spoil them with their quality. But 5 IITs which started in 60s and little later, all of them were basically elite engineering colleges. Whether you will accept or not, I don't know, I leave the decision to you. They're not having any other program other than just basic 5-6 engineering degrees program. They were only producing engineering graduates. This was almost true until 2000. Because I still remember when I returned from USA, I saw the survey of how many publications our faculty produces. They started counting, and then they found out that only Indian Institute of Science had a large number, which is sum of all IITs and other institutions put together. But in 20 years, things have changed, ladies and gentlemen. Today, IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi are actually on par with the number of publications, at least. I'm not saying that deep science and deep technology, there is another discussion is going on, how much we are doing in deep science. But today, we are definitely, as a country, has progressed so much in the STEM area, and we are the third largest publication research publication output country. I think there is a much greater opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, particularly with our young people who are sitting at the back. I'm telling you, there is a greater opportunity. But I also understand the limitations of it. We are only putting 0.8% of our GDP to the education sector. That's very meagerly low. That's where the contribution of the industry is very, very important for us. In terms of last 10 years, in terms of input to research has gone up, tremendously up, but in total, the GDP percentage has not changed. So if we want to be a leader of the whole world, I think we need to put in more money, which we realize very, very clearly. It is unless we put in more money into this sector, attract talent, and nurture research and innovation in every institution, we will neither be a Vishwaguru nor a leader in the world. So to do this, what are the steps? Sir, what steps AICTE would take? So we actually now put up a small team of very international experts to look at what we should do for the engineering education in 2047. 2047, we are going to complete 100 years of independence. So what's that we're going to do? How our engineering education is going to be transformed? The first and important step I have done after joining, I said moratorium has to be removed of engineering colleges. In the pretext of quality, in the pretext of saying that there are mushrooming of colleges, we cannot be at the same time say GER from 27 to go to 50%, still close all the institutions, not allow them to open. Both are actually diametrically opposite decisions, which will not go well, augur well. We have to be very bold to take the steps, but we have to make the rules stricter and make the institutions function very well. But at the same time, we should open the institutions because there is a large number of students waiting to join good programs, waiting to join. We have a large population, ladies and gentlemen. Even though engineering colleges are not getting admission, that is a different altogether a ball game. I will tell you, I've addressed that. I was just talking to Dr. Shamaraju that, sir, civil engineering, mechanical engineering are not joining. We are somehow, but we want to keep it because I know myself as a builder. We want to keep the civil engineering floating. Friends, AICTE has taken a step to say to how to really import more core engineering programs and keep them alive. Steps have been taken. What are the steps? I'll just briefly tell you. We know that even in IITs, all our graduates, engineering, whether it is civil, mechanical, electrical, core engineering, are joining emerging area IT related companies. How they are doing it? So these companies also come to campus. They just check what is their aptitude and learning abilities and pick them up and train them a year in their factory or in their companies. Instead, what I have decided, I've told my colleagues, we will open up the core engineering with a minor program in emerging areas. 18 credits, beyond that 160 credits of, because anyway AICTE has reduced from 200 and odd credits to 160 credits today. So we can ask all the students to opt for 18 credits in any discipline you want emerging, you want an Internet of Things or even semiconductor, is going to be a minor. This is the minor program what our team finalized yesterday, I think, 15th. So this minor program will actually train the students within the college for emerging areas. Sir, still scenario has not changed. They're going to go to emerging area. Definitely, where is the money, what kind of placement you give, that's what the students will choose. There is nothing wrong for them. I mean, there is nothing wrong about the whole system also. So what we will do is, we will actually keep them interested in the core engineering. And the industry in core engineering starts looking for people because even in core engineering, these emerging areas have penetrated so much, and just a very basic civil engineer will not be able to handle these kind of activities which is going on because there is also Internet of Things. There is chips, where sensors are required. Everywhere it is penetrated so much. So our engineers will be able to handle. I hope that at least the number of seats which are vacant, now it will be filled up with this option giving in the minor program. I also know that many of the institutions are already doing this. It is not that a new thing. But this is in a larger scale which we will allow, and very creative minor programs will be created which has an options and also what they would like to do, the students. There will be multiple options for them to choose. Not only just in the emerging areas, it could be even human values. Okay, somebody wants to be something different. He need not want to be an engineer. He became an engineer because of their parents or peer pressures. But today he wants to go and do something else. That opportunity is being created. So I think I see a great hope for India to emerge as a leader in technical education. And I request all of you to put some of your time, even, not a CSR. I think DST had come up with one planning. It was called as, like social responsibility. Scientific social SSR. Okay? Wherein, you contribute some of your time to the educational institutions, teaching. See, because our Universal Human Values program in AICTE, which is an induction program, I will tell you, AICTE is not spending even 1 rupee of money on that. It's completely voluntary, and you should see the dedication of those. And AICTE has also trained large number of Universal Human Value teachers training. And they are actually 3 weeks induction program for every student is a critical activity, I think, which will give them a completely different perspective. So I feel that should be encouraged, and I urge all the institutions to follow that 3 weeks induction very strictly, so that what pandemic taught us will be much more realistic, because our younger generation have to have a creative and human values as well. They first have to become humane, and then all these advancements will come in their life. With these few words, I thank you very much for listening very patiently, and I'm very happy to launch the model curricula on VLSI design and IC manufacturing today. And I welcome the participation of industry experts in today's industry academia interaction. And I again I'll place our thanks to REVA University for coordinating this. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights. Now I request our Vice Chancellor, Dr. M. Dhananjaya, to render the vote of thanks.
Most respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, we are indeed very fortunate to have this unique program being launched in our esteemed university. From the inception, we have been encouraged by AICTE, whether conducting hardware hackathon, software hackathon, hosting institutional innovative council regional meeting, and so on. We have organized several activities in this campus. Maybe that is the confidence which is given to the AICTE for allowing us to host this particular event in the campus. I am indeed very grateful to Honorable Chairman AICTE for permitting to have this program in this campus. Sir, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. And also, on behalf of our Chancellor and the entire REVA family, we wish you all the best in your new assignment. And with regard to our Chancellor, whatever proposal we place before him, whether it is student-related activity or any other activity in the campus, he will immediately respond positively. He is guiding us on regular basis. That is how this institution is growing. I take this opportunity to thank our Honorable Chancellor, sir, for this. We have our senior officers from AICTE Dr. Mamta Rani Agarwal, Dr. Ramesh Unnikrishnan, Dr. Neeraj Saxena, who have been encouraging REVA University and also who are part of this program organizing committee. I take this opportunity to thank all the officers, that is Ramesh Unnikrishnan, Mamta Rani Agarwal, Dr. Neeraj Saxena, all the officers, and also there are many more officers who have arrived yesterday and they have been part of the planning of this program. I take this opportunity to thank all of them. My sincere thanks to all the industry experts, all the academic fraternity who have joined for this program. I also thank my colleagues and dear student friends. Wish you all the best. Wish you happy Mahashivratri. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Marking the end of the formal event, I quote Victor Emil Frank, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Due to the time constraints, we'll be soon starting with our session 2. I request Dr. Dinesh Singh, Director AICTE, to open the remarks.
Namaskar, good morning, and happy pious Mahashivratri to everyone. Honorable Chief Guest Professor T.G. Sitharamanji, our Honorable Chairman of AICTE, Honorable Chancellor Dr. P. Shama Rajuji, distinguished officers from AICTE, eminent experts from the industries, and the distinguished academicians from various institutions and from the REVA University, and all the participants present here in the auditorium. As we are all aware that the electronics industry is the world's largest and the fastest growing industry with applications in all sectors, aspects of the economy. Semiconductors have been a key enabler in the advancement of electronics for over many decades and will play an even greater and vital role with the emergence of new technologies like IoT, artificial intelligence, 5G, smart mobilities, robotics, etc. The Indian semiconductor industry has the potential to play a significant role in country's economy and innovation system and is expected to grow 10 to 15% yearly through 2025. To emerge as a semiconductor nation, on December 15th, 2021, Union Cabinet, under the able guidance of our Honorable Prime Minister, had approved the comprehensive Semicon India program with the development of sustainable semiconductor and display ecosystem with an outlay of 76,000 crores. The Indians, this has a one semiconductor mission known as the India Semiconductor Mission, has broadly classified into 4 schemes. First is the setting of the scheme for the setting of the semiconductor fabs, scheme of the setting of display labs, scheme for the setting of the design-linked incentive, and the scheme for setting of semiconductor assembly, testing, marking, and packaging fabs centers. National Policy on Electronics 2019 also emphasizes on creating a globally competitive electronic design and manufacturing industry to meet the country's need and to serve the international market by focusing on skills, technology, and scale. In order to fulfill the vision and mission of NPE 2019, there is a fundamental need to create highly skilled and trained manpower in the various fields of semiconductor for targeting applications through collaborative projects with academia, R&D organizations, startups, MSME, and various industries. Acknowledging India to be a major hub for semiconductor research, chip design, and equipment engineering, even with greater future potential, AICTE, under dynamic leadership of our Honorable Chairman, sir, is adopting initiatives to strengthen industry-academia collaboration. That's why we are here with the industry people also. AICTE will facilitate an important platform for industries to bring together global resources to identify actionable plans for creating semiconductor talent to increase its presence in the worldwide chip industry. This much-needed IA collaboration will facilitate assembly industry, government and academic stakeholders to identify near-term industry opportunities and to adopt long-term strategic development of complementary semiconductor ecosystem. We may identify and facilitate workforce development besides exchanging opportunities in order to benefit all stakeholders. We should be committed towards the aim for boosting electronic system design manufacturing, which is called as ESDM ecosystem, having objectives. First is like generating industry-ready manpower in semiconductor or IC design areas for creating vibrant semiconductor ecosystem in the country. Second is to organize and support training and skill programs for the development of semiconductor-based electronics courses, strengthen industry and academia collaboration as there is increasing needs for bidirectional knowledge co-creation and transfer of technology. This is the need of the hours today. Fourth is enable collaborative and cutting-edge research in semiconductor through grants, through faculty development programs, global collaboration, and other mechanisms in academics and research institutes. Establishing more and more centers of excellences through CSR in academic institutions. This is a humble request for the industries people to adopt the CSR maximum to the institutions. Strengthening of industry interaction cell in all the institutions. We have industry interaction cell, IIC cells in every institution, but it's not there is a need to strengthen this cell. Provide incentive-based internship for the longer periods to the stakeholders. Presently, we are giving internship for 6 months or 4 months, but it should be increased to at least for 1 year, and it should be incentive-based. So a seriousness will be there in the stakeholders also. Strengthening and adding industry orientation, adopting industry orientation curriculum, which we have did today, and many more. To fulfill all these objectives under the visionary guidance of our Honorable Chairman of AICTE is committed to enhance qualitative hand-holding and to bridge gap among the industries and academicians. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dinesh sir. Now, I would like to welcome Professor Sivaramakrishna Vanjari, Professor, IIT Hyderabad. I request Dr. Ramesh Unnikrishna sir to welcome him with a bouquet.
One and all. So there is a small glitch with my computer, and there is a small presentation that we would actually do, right? Now, as you know, while this is happening, as you know, we have put in enough efforts to actually design a curriculum for VLSI design and technology, right? The emphasis is not only on VLSI design, but there is an equal emphasis on the technology aspect as well. And this is what we ensured while designing the curriculum. because at this particular point of time, if you look at it, India is completely skewed towards VLSI design, and the only reason for that is the availability of jobs here. Right now, we are in a catch-22 situation. I mean, for getting jobs, you need industry. And for industry, you need trained manpower. So we need to actually break this loop somewhere down the line. And we need to actually ensure that whatever training that we are actually giving in right now, right, it is not only at the national level, but we need to, right now at this particular point of time, our focus ought to be to actually generate manpower at the global competitive level. So this is the vision with which we are actually trying to do this. The reason for having a global manpower is, though ISM is actually launched, and the moment you actually get into it, you realize that there are a lot of difficulties that we need to overcome. These are actually geopolitical in nature, way above our head, right? So it takes a lot of time for us to actually get the fab, right? Even then, right, the moment you want to actually construct a fab, those who have actually done it would actually vouch for it. It takes two solid years for you to actually get it done. And by that time, if you can actually get the manpower ready, and hopefully if there are delays here and there, the global economy, the global situation right now is in such a way that there is a lot of focus on India. There is a lot of trust on the skills of Indian manpower. So all efforts that we're actually putting in right now is to ensure that we are globally competitive, which inherently means we're actually will be able to serve our needs when the right time arrives. So that's the spirit with which we're actually working on. And to this extent, right, the ISM has actually put in a talent committee, which is a group of people. It had an equal division of faculty, academia, and a major representation from who is who in the industry and the policy holders. All the three people were there in the committee, and I was a part of certain deliberations as well, right? So the thing is, you should actually imagine that the top-notch people, Jaya Jagadish of AMDs and Sri Swamavedams of IMEC, right? Every weekend, they used to spend something like 4 to 5 hours continuously on this particular stuff. And it went for 3 to 4 months. So essentially, you can actually count the value of the manpower hours that they have actually spent in to deliberate and get this talent committee report done, right? And this effort was actually in parallel, and because we were able to actually see the similarities, so we kind of quickly adapted certain portions which would actually bring the value addition to the academic program, right? So that's what we have actually done in this particular time. So for example, I'll give you, so we started with, the committee recommends that there should be an overall overview of VLSI design and industry to the student to motivate them. So what we have done in this particular curriculum is that in the 4th semester, we have actually introduced a 1-credit course. This is a fractal course, you just teach for 14 hours, and we'll also tell you what needs to be taught as well, wherein you actually tell them what is happening in the VLSI design industry, right? It starts with, you actually conceptualize and then create an architecture. Then after that, you actually synthesize it. What are all the methods of synthesizing it? And then you have to do layout versus verification, and you have to do all these things you have to do, keeping in mind whether it is manufacturable or not, right? So, so such kind of brief overview is actually presented in the 4th semester. And before that, fundamentals of VLSI is all about circuits, right? If you don't know circuits, if you don't know KCL and KVL, you cannot do VLSI. It's as simple as that, because VLSI is a magnified version of actually doing the SPICE simulations, which is nothing but solving KCL and KVL anywhere and everywhere, right? So that's the, and also when we actually go to RTL simulations, you need what is a gate? Gate level analysis and system level design, right? Those are the perspectives that are actually covered. Now, The third point that we would like to mention here is that in typical, I came from a non-IIT college, and I'm actually a faculty at IIT Hyderabad. And I did my master's in University of Notre Dame. So I have actually gathered teaching pedagogies of different universities. What I could actually clearly see is that why VLSI programs in IITs are more successful is that there is a clear-cut emphasis on device physics separately. You have courses which are actually fully physics-oriented, and they actually teach you the concept of Fermi level for a longer time, the concept of quasi-Fermi level for a longer time, and ensure that you appreciate how a PN junction works. So that quality time ought to be given, right? And that emphasis on physics is very, very important as we go along in VLSI journey, correct? So I'm actually talking without slides. I'm actually okay with it. So some issue, it's fine, correct? So that is actually being put in. And then after that, you can actually imagine, right, the era of VLSI as two parts. One is VLSI design, the other one is VLSI manufacturing. And in VLSI design, you can actually categorize into digital, analog, RF, right? But the important point here is, so far the things have been in such a way that we actually teach, right? And the hands-on here is the most critical component that we ought to inculcate here. Now, in 1980s and 1990s, in US, there is one thing called a Moses moment. So whatever you do, whatever small little device that you actually do, you fabricate, test it. It can be a simple ring oscillator, it can be a simple differential amplifier. The only thing is, you are enabling the student to actually do from right from RTL design all the way to GDS tool, and do a night out when people say, okay, I have done something and I've actually put it and in a shuttle wherein it is going to come out on silicon, right? The excitement that you create and the intuitive knowledge that you actually impart during that process is much more valuable, right? And at the end of it, once you actually, once the industry looks at the person who has actually done a tape out, right, the quality of manpower would increase tremendously, right? So in this particular effort, we have actually put in micro, mini, and full-time projects wherein, parallelly, we are actually working with the Ministry of Information Technology to enable the EDA tool network, and at the same time, we urge the companies to actually come up with small little problems to actually encourage students to do them on their own. And one of the critical reasons why we need, I'm also in charge of what is called a fabless chip design incubator, FabCI. The motto of that incubator launched, this is actually under MITI, is to actually incubate 50 startups in VLSI space. Right? The moment you go to any other incubator, companies will actually come you will shortlist the companies, you'll take the quality companies. Right now, we are actually in a situation in this space, in the whole India, there are 50 companies, startups, right? And you want to actually get 50 companies. We were actually going and begging and saying, hey, please join, please join, please join. So that was the situation, right? And when we analyze the reasons very, very carefully, EDL tools is not a bottleneck, right? Any EDA tool vendors, don't get offended. Okay, because EDA tool vendors are businessmen, right? If they see a potential in the business, they would actually give the tools for free. They don't mind it, correct? What is the bottleneck? Sir, please note, right now, if you do an MTech in VLSI and you're actually a very good engineer, your starting salaries will be 17 lakhs to 20 lakhs, right? You want to do a chip design, you need at least 5 manpower. You need 1 crore manpower for you to actually start the project. Now, you realize that as you go along, for some reason, VLSI has actually become niche, right? Unless or until you are a postgraduate, right? You don't know VLSI. You cannot do VLSI. That is the thought process that is accepted world over, right? Because at the back of the mind, communications and AI have been the electives that the students are actually taking, and they are garnering jobs, if not in core, then immediately in software, right? Now, what we need to actually think about is a little orthogonal and say, look, if I can replace the elective component in the BTech curriculum with the electives of VLSI and ensure that you have a tape-out experience, why can't we do the same thing at the BTech level? So that's the most important thing that we should actually focus on. And the fundamental point here is that as age grows, our abilities also reduce. I mean, the enthusiasm, inherent enthusiasm will actually reduce. I mean, you catch people young, right? You have the good manpower. So important point that we ought to do right now is to increase the base of the pyramid to the extent that you have a pool of manpower to choose from, and that supply-demand stuff would actually come in, and there is a law of averages that would actually come in the salaries as well, and it becomes viable for you to actually think about startup. Hello. Yeah. So what I was trying to get at, I have completed the story of IC design per se, right? I mean, that's the now what we have actually put in is certain electives in manufacturing. In the 4th semester, we are actually introducing microfabrication. I mean, for the young kids, it's our I mean, the onus is on us to actually explain and excite people into fabrication. Otherwise, what will happen is, what is microfabrication? Put a wafer into the furnace. The furnace is heated up to 1200 degrees, and there is a thickness that is actually formed. There is no physical intuition that you would actually develop. But if you look at innovative methods of teaching and add some simulator tools to it, right? Maybe we should be able to communicate a lot more. And the other thing is, for manufacturing, it is important that there's a materials perspective to it, right? At each and every step, you characterize a lot, whether it's a physical characterization, chemical characterization, or a morphological characterization. You need to characterize a lot. That's the basis of a good product in semiconductor system, right? So that course is actually put in, and there is an equipment engineering that we actually miss. If you look at the way, if you look at the countries that actually supply equipment to in all these places, Austria, small little countries would Italy, a lot of equipment would actually come from Italy, right? Small little companies would actually do small little business, but big turnover business, right? So equipment engineering is one art that we ought to develop as we go along, and we should ensure that that skill actually comes in India, right? So that's one thing that we have incorporated as a part of curriculum. As far as ISM is concerned, more or less, we have actually synced our syllabus with India Semiconductor Mission talent report. With due respect, the amount of suggestions that they've given is very, very good. But at the same time, they've actually put in a lot of emphasis on software-related stuff. Now, our focus was both on software as well as the manufacturing part. Design and manufacturing. So we had to actually just do a balance and put a lot of emphasis on manufacturing as well. Now, you may actually ask me, how are you envisaging the training part in the manufacturing? Bangalorean should not ask this question. Just jump to IISc, sense building, it's already there. Right? So, any time the glades are open and you could actually learn the things. The way we have envisaged is each and every process would be actually video recorded and there is a first level of intuition that's actually given to the students. That is tier 1. And then after that, the tier 2 is you go into the center of excellences. There are 8 of these center of excellences. I included IIT Hyderabad. We have already developed such a facility, and we have joined the network as well. Right? So there are 8 such centers wherein you could actually do a hands-on training for a period of 3 months and try to understand the process a lot more in detail. And the third critical point is this Academy of Fab experience will give you what to do, how to do, and why to do. Right? But in industry, it's all about automation. Right? You have to click certain buttons and ensure that there is a reliability and aspect to it. Without this fundamental knowledge, clicking the buttons does not make sense. Now, that clicking of the buttons, you need some access. MEET is actually looking at converting SEL and other kind of things as a foundry experience locations, talent generation locations for these things. So in a 3-tier approach, 1, visualization, 2, a second detailed understanding at center of excellences, and tier 3, 1 week or 2 weeks of exposure to all these equipment in the foundry. I'm 100% convinced that we would be able to actually cross the line, and we would be able to send, at this particular point of time, somebody say, foundry did not come, where should this manpower go? Let them go to Taiwan. Because Taiwan wants them. But the important point is there is a difference between Taiwan and USA. Please don't quote me anywhere, it's getting recorded, but anyway. The important point is, if for a typical Indian to actually survive in US, it's much more convenient as compared to the South Asian nations. Now, the moment there is a job in here, the reverse brain drain would actually definitely happen with much more experience in working their foundries. So we should not even have an iota of doubt in mind on why we are actually generating the manpower right now, when there is a demand that's going to come at a later point of time. The entire focus should be on globally competent manpower. That's the focus that we ought to develop, and we should actually focus on each and every moment. Correct? And finally, so that's all about the, that's all the what is there in the slides. It's just a beautification of the words that I've actually put in right now. Right? Why did we actually come up with diploma in manufacturing? If you go to a clean room, right, you will see that there are the moment you enter into a clean room, you are actually dressed and all those things, right? You are actually hanging in air. In a world-class clean room, there is a laminar flow wherein you are actually hanging in the equipment. What you don't see is there is a lot of things that actually happen beneath you, and there is a lot of things that happen above you, right? The fundamental point is we handle the most dangerous stuff in clean rooms. For example, even a simple etchant like HF, right? If it actually falls on you, right, so immediately it does not do anything. But in a month's time, your finger or that particular point, the entire bone will go off. It's extremely dangerous, right? Safety, right? What is the protocol that we need to follow, correct? And there is, for silicon nitride production, which is one of the layers, there is, we actually use silane. Silane is a bomb under our stuff, right? So the moment there is a leak, it can blast the entire building off, and there were cases in India, because you look at solar manufacturing plants, unfortunate things have happened. But also, just simple, take a nitrogen leak. Nitrogen will say, okay, nitrogen is there in the ambience, right? Unfortunately, if nitrogen has the tendency to replace oxygen. If you don't realize that there is a leak of nitrogen, what would happen is that slowly the ambience would actually become deoxified in some sense, and it actually results to a slow death. The person cannot even realize that there is a reduction in risk. So with all these things, fire safety, gas handling, automation, see everything, even in the semi-automated clean room, every valve is automated, every production is automated. So every building, the process is actually dependent on the temperature and humidity. Any humidity changes, my process does not work. So in keeping that in mind, all these things require a humongous amount of semi-skilled manpower to handle all these things. I mean, if you ask me as a professor to actually move the cylinder, I mean, it will be tough for me, right? So, I mean, I'm not physically trained to do that. So, if you can actually look at manpower who can actually do that, right? You are creating a bottom of the pyramid, right? Not only for this, and in several auxiliary areas of the clean room, you need a semi-skilled manpower, and that's what I see manufacturing diploma is going to do. And how are we actually training in the same process? Same three-tier approach. One, visualization on what the process is. Second, center of excellences, you actually come over, get trained. And third, various avenues in India. I mean, there are several avenues in India where these allied activities related to foundry are happening right now at this particular point of time. There is an ever-growing emphasis on packaging facilities in India. People have actually set up. There are companies in Bangalore which are experts in gas handling, right? So all these things ought to be utilized. We need not look at west or east, right? We have it here. So we need to actually identify our pool, help them out, and first thing is link them properly and get it going, right? So this is what we have actually envisioned and we have put in this particular process. And finally, that's about manufacturing. And finally, minor, right? So what is this minor, right? So minor is a concept that is there in all the universities in the West as well as here as well. I mean, if somebody wants to learn something else, right, there should be an opportunity. Now, when I want to learn something else, right, fundamental question is, where do I start, right? I cannot actually go to an advanced course without learning a basic course. That's as simple as that. So what we have actually done, and also the bandwidth is also limited in terms of designing the courses, right? So what is happening here is that you ought to come up with a curriculum wherein there is an emphasis on basics as well as advanced within 18 credits, within 5 courses. How do we do that? That's the most challenging part. Now what we have actually done right now is we have put in three basic courses. The first one is electronic devices, circuits, which actually covers the fundamentals of physics, circuits, and op-amps, right? Op-amps are the best things that any other engineering guy can learn because it's at a system level. You plug in and it's like a plug and play system, right? You know the theory, you plug and play, you'll get a circuit that you can actually use for your application, not for my application, right? Any electronic that you have in any domain needs an op-amp circuit somewhere down the line. So that's what we have actually put in. Under digital logic and VHDL, that's also a basic stuff. And an introduction to microfabrication. And after that, what we have actually done is we have categorized that into 2 streams, VLSI design or fabrication. We have given a number of electives for the next 2 courses. And this is the philosophy with which we have evolved at the minor program. All these things we have done with 5 experts. I'm one of them. And Dr. Sushoban, he's a professor in Center for Nanoscience and Engineering. And Professor Saurabh Lodha, Professor Rajendra Patrikar, and Dr. Ramesh from Central University, Kerala. All of us have a good amount of experience, both in the design and more so in the manufacturing. There are a couple of people who actually literally worked in the foundry. And that's the reason why we actually formed a synergic committee that could actually do this job of balancing VLSI design and technology. If it were to be given to the industry, I'm pretty sure it will be design because they need the manpower there. But we put our foot down and we actually balanced it out, keeping in mind that a futuristic need not only for India, but for global, because globe trusts us than anybody else. So it is this particular point of time we should actually prove ourselves to be trustworthy. And please remember, for all the younger generation, right, things that we are actually doing, skewing a system slowly, is going to result in trouble at a later point of time. 20 years down the line, if you continue doing only software engineering, you will not have any civil engineer or a mechanical engineer or anybody for that matter, and there is a demand for them, there is no demand for you, right? Let's not skew our education system in such a way that the jobs are actually driving the education, right? Education, you actually try to find out what your passion is and get in, right? If you are good at it, there is somewhere down the line, there is a job actually assigned for you, waiting for you. So that is the spirit with which all the young engineers should actually look at, and then ensure that the balance in terms of getting education in all domains is actually retained. If we don't do it, we are actually into a slow poison mode. By the time we realize it, we are gone. So let's actually retain our trust on India, and let's try to actually utilize this curriculum. We can actually work together with the industry as well to improve the curriculum. And one of the things that we could actually do is let industry teach whatever they want to, and then train them and go. That flexibility is also embedded in this particular program. So with all these things, I'm pretty sure if we synergize our efforts together, we would be the base for the next generation revolution that would happen in India. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now it's time to begin with our sessions. I request Professor S.A. Shankar, IISc Bengaluru, on OneSTEM portal. Sir, I request you to please come on the dais and take your seat. Next, we have Raju Bala Shauri Pudota, Senior Design Engineering Director, Cadence Design Systems, India. Sir, please join us on the stage. Next, we have Suresh Kumar, CEO, Chipware Technologies, Bengaluru. Welcome you, sir. Next, we have Dr. Rajiv Kumar Srivastava, Director, Design Enablement, CTO Organization at NXP Semiconductors. So please. Next, we have B. Raghava Srinivasan, Associate Vice President, ICT Academy. Next, we have Anandiya Saha, CTO, Sankalya Labs. So please join us. Next, we have Himanshu Raval, Program Manager, ANSYS Semiconductor, Bengaluru. The rest will be arriving for the second stage. Now, please note all the industrials. Please keep your talk for 5 minutes, sir, due to the time constraints. I request Mamta ma'am to hand over the bouquet as a symbol of gratitude and appreciation. And I request Dr. Narayan Swamy, sir, Director, Mechanical Engineering, REVA University, to welcome all our guests on stage. Soon after this, we'll begin with our second set of industrialists as well. The interaction will be beginning now. Sir, over to you. First, we have Professor S.A. Shivashankar, IISc Bengaluru, on OneSTEM portal.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I thank REVA University very much for the opportunity provided to us to present a program which is very, very appropriate for this particular gathering, industry, academia interaction. Because this program, if I may have the first slide, is called the iSTEM program, Indian Science, Technology and Engineering Facilities Map. So this is a national program which was launched in 2020 by the Prime Minister, but because of the immediate onset of the pandemic, we lost basically 2 years in this movement. I would like to think of it as a movement, because what we are trying to do is to ensure that the many R&D facilities established in institutions across the country, usually through public funding, are available to users anywhere, whatever institutions they come from, including industry, very specifically including industry and startups. So the idea was really germinated from our experience in our Center for Nanoscience and Engineering at the Indian Institute of Science, which is a national center where we have extensive clean room facilities, fabrication facilities appropriate to ISM. And we began to share them under a program called Indian Nanoelectronics Users Program, INUP, funded by the Ministry of Electronics back in 2008. The idea was to share the expensive facilities and the expertise with academics from all over the country through this program, where they would get trained and they would conduct research programs in the facilities that we have at the center, all at the expense of the government. The government funded the whole program. The BT funded the whole program. So since 2008 until now, which is a running program, thousands of scientists, academics, students, faculty members have been trained in this, and they have conducted programs, research programs, written papers, theses, and produced patents as well. So it has been an extremely successful program at the Institute, also at IIT Bombay. Now, what that told us, that experience told us, is that if facilities are available to students and faculty members from remote institutions and tier 2, tier 3 institutions and so on, if they are available to them, then it will be possible for them to carry out state-of-the-art research work. I just want to mention that, some students from Guwahati came to our center, and in a 3-week stay in our clean room center, they produced inventions that resulted in 3 patent applications in just 3 weeks. So that tells us about the effectiveness of the availability of facilities to those who don't have them in their institutions. And in a sense, it doesn't have to be in every institution in any case, especially expensive facilities. So that experience told us that sharing facilities with those who need them, especially those which are in various institutions across the country, would be a very good idea. And the principal scientific advisor to the Government of India at that time, Dr. R. Chidambaram, was very, very happy to note this, and he funded a program which came to be known as the Indian Science, Technology and Engineering Facilities Map. So it's actually what it is an online portal. May I have the slide, please? It's an online portal which contains the inventory of R&D facilities in something like 1,700 institutions across the country. Something like 27,000 pieces of equipment, R&D facilities are listed on that one. So it has a search facility which allows you to look for what you are interested in, which facility you want to use, and you would be able to make reservations, online reservations through a calendar, online calendar, to use those facilities and pay for it directly to the institution that holds it, that owns the equipment, that is a custodian of the equipment. So iSTEM is really essentially a facilitator of interactions, of collaborations, of people being able to access equipment and facilities that otherwise they would not have. So as a result of the effectiveness of the idea, the government, various agencies of the government over the years have issued mandates of where publicly funded equipment must be listed on iSTEM portal, and gradually they are being listed, and the pandemic came in the way of further progress. And also, one of the things that we did because of the closure of all facilities around the country during the pandemic, we thought that maybe we should try something else that does not require people to go to laboratories. So what we did was to begin to license R&D platforms and put them on the cloud and make them available to academics. So over the years, in the last 2 years, we have acquired proper licenses. Actually, some of them are perpetual licenses to COMSOL, to MATLAB, to LabVIEW, and to Coventerware, MEM software, and then to also a locally developed software by a startup in Bangalore called Urja company. So they have also developed software called Urja.energy, which is very, very pertinent to the development of batteries, to the design of batteries, and to understand the function of batteries, which is, of course, very, very pertinent today, as you know, because of the electrical vehicle business. So ours is a government portal. The web address is www.istem.gov.in. So it's really a government portal because it's supported by the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office. And we presently have something like 16,000 users all over the country in the academia and industry on the portal. And the various software platforms, they have their own user groups. For example, we have something like 1,000 users of the COMSOL facility. And therefore, they form a very capable group. And they want to interact with one another and also solve problems that have not been solved because of the way they have interactions among them. So similarly for MATLAB and so on. And what I want to point out in particular is that we have had discussions and we have strong support from Dr. Neeraj Saxena of AICTE. So ISTEM is joining hands with the Idea Lab so that students there, for example, would be able to use COMSOL to design something and actually make that in the Idea Lab. That's just a way of thinking about it. And another thing we are also doing is to see if these Idea Labs and other labs can take up non-functioning R&D apparatus, out-of-date R&D apparatus and so on, and rebuild them, take them apart so that, for example, Dr. Shivaram Krishnan was mentioning diploma courses and so on. So students of that cadre and students in undergraduate degrees and so on, they have the opportunity to have hands-on experience with the breaking up equipment, literally, rebuilding them, designing them, making them work, and so on. Very, very practical experience. So we are also collecting unused equipment and we hope to place them in various Idea Labs around the country so that students have first-hand experiential learning, as it is called. So the idea is, as I said, it's a national portal for listing and sharing R&D facilities. We have a logo that says, it's a trademarked logo that says ISTEM is linking researchers and resources. So resources are many, researchers are also many. There is no one-to-one mapping, and therefore ISTEM comes in the way to help you reach resources that you may not have in your own institution. And as I said, industry is very, very welcome to take part in this. One of the things we have actually as a part of the portal is a suppliers and service providers map. So we have suppliers of various equipment, services, supplies, technical supplies and so on listed on the portal so that users of the portal come to know, for example, that there are these suppliers, okay, and they can reach one another and make use of what they require, obtain what they require. So, as I said, this is a portal that is hosted on the NIC cloud, National Informatics Center cloud, because of which it is a gov.in web portal. It is security audited and we constantly monitor it, and we have had no problem with security of the portal. It's okay. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what you're seeing here is a map. Okay, is a map over here, okay. Previous one. No, previous one. One more. So equipment are, when you go to the portal, let us say you are looking for a scanning electron microscope, SEM. So if you use the keyword SEM, it will show all the locations in the country where SEMs are present. Through advanced research, you can learn more about this particular instrument, what its capabilities and so on. So you can identify one that is close to you, for example, or one that has the capabilities that you require. And through an online calendar, you can actually book to use that equipment and use that equipment in collaboration with the host institution by making a payment through an online portal integrated into the web portal. So this is the appearance of this. It's also, as I told you, various software platforms are already launched. We'll be soon launching the complete Autodesk suite very soon. Will be made available to academics. Please note that these are available at no cost to academics because these licenses are limited to academic use. It's also, we have a mobile app, and therefore you would be able to do everything through the iOS or Android application. And we have many other aspects to it, such as, for example, we are conducting training programs in host institutions. For example, if somebody wants to get trained in chemical analysis, we are contacting institutions where such analysis is available, and we provide funding support to conduct such training programs so that trained manpower is generated through such training. So we partially support such training programs. As I mentioned to you already, we are hoping to also have rebuilding of equipment, unused equipment, out-of-date equipment as a way of experiencing how to build equipment and how to design them. We have an internship program whereby iSTEM provides a short period of support to interns in startup companies. So we provide them, for example, 6 months of support for an intern for startup companies. So we have various programs of this sort in addition to the main web portal business and the so what I wish to say is that, finally, my time is probably up. What we have found through experience, and perhaps all of you agree, that expensive equipment is often used not very much. There's a low degree of usage, and therefore heavy capital investment is probably not very well utilized. And therefore, we are hoping that iSTEM will enable a greater degree of utilization, greater number of participants in utilizing equipment through public investment, and reduce duplication. There's a tremendous amount of duplication in the country, which is, of course, a drain on the resources. So with all these things, iSTEM is striving to work with academia, industry, in such a way that resources that already are available, mostly through public funding, get a greater degree of use. And of course, in the generation of manpower that is relevant to this particular meeting, it is becoming very pertinent. And the INUP is doing that. And iSTEM is also very active in generating manpower through training programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next we have Raju Bala Shauri Pudota, Senior Design Engineering, Director, CAD and Design Systems, India.
So good afternoon, everyone gathered here. Thanks a lot to Dr. Mamta Agarwal for inviting me to speak at this occasion. This is indeed a very august occasion to see the efforts of AICTE culminate into the launch of the model curriculum at an undergraduate level and a diploma level. We also always had VLSI courses at MTech level and, we always had VLSI courses at MTech level, and we have, a lot of colleges have done a great job of providing, skilled and talent to the industry. However, given where we are today, I think the shortage of manpower, both for design and, as Professor Sivaramakrishnan said, even for manufacturing, right? The industry has been focusing so much on design that we are leaving the technology aspect aside. So just stepping back, just if I look at it, today probably is one of the best times to be in the semiconductor industry. We have seen so many inflection points. Right? We have seen the early 90s where it was 20 megahertz CPUs to today, which is like, I have a laptop at home with 3 gigahertz CPU. And it's an entry-level laptop, not even like a server quality laptop. So from the early 90s where we worked on very low-end hardware, as we can call it today, at that time great hardware, but today it looks like so low-end. And the inflection point of how networking evolved and how it gave way to EDA tools, right? Fabless semi companies, EDA tools, and the EDA tools, the synthesis, timing analysis at a digital level, making fabless semi possible and the explosion of the VLSI industry possible. So you saw 2000, of course there have been corrections here and there, but you saw 2000, you saw networking, you saw fabless semi. Later we saw mobile, we saw media convergence, we saw cloud, and today, and at every time we think, have we hit the edge, right? Is it now? Is it this? Is there more? And then now you have 5G, cloud, and AI driving this, right? 5G, cloud, and AI driving this. There was a time when probably the systems were trying to evolve where electronics was making it possible. And over time, today, the systems are actually expecting the semiconductor industry to reach out to what the systems are. For example, today, from what we saw, simple client server to cloud computing, we saw the dominance of Intel and then the ARM server platforms. Later, as of now, we are all looking at disaggregated computing. So the industry is expecting more from semiconductor. So a lot of technology advancements and a lot of advancements not in terms of speeds of operation, in terms of technology capability, right? How do we disaggregate servers? How do we give distributed memory? All this is giving a lot more scope for design companies, a lot of startups to evolve in this space. So it's a great opportunity for the students out there. I can see students in the audience, a great opportunity for students. It's a great time to be in this space. So some of us here have been old stalwarts and been 30 years in the industry, 25 years, and we have seen the good wave of semi. There's nothing like a good wave of semi. Semi is there, it will be there for some time. Not some time, it will be there forever as long as you have good systems and technologies. Semi will be there supplying the firepower, and it is like the petroleum or the oil of the future. So we have to invest in manufacturing, and I know a lot of initiatives have already happened. Fabs are being announced. Fabs were announced in the past, they did not culminate, but I'm hoping that this is a moment of truth for the country where, it is now or never, because we have to get out of reliance on outside providers and manufacture locally. And that brings to the context the relevance of the launch of this model curriculum, the timeliness of this launch, because it's going to feed the manpower requirements, trained manpower requirements, as and when the fabs are going to start operational. And like Professor rightfully said, they may not be operational in 2 years. So what do the students do for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? There may not be enough capacity to absorb the students. Like it happened in the software industry and the reverse brain drain, which saw people come back. Right? There is an opportunity. So the idea is to have globally talent pool created for global requirement and not just for a local requirement. I think that ideal that with which the curriculum was launched is very good, and I'm very hopeful. The industry has always expected in academia to have the trained manpower, to have trained professors who are able to give the right level of not only technical knowledge, but as well as the practical experience to the students. And as an industry, I think many industry participants, we have done our bit, right? We have done our bit in terms of, at least as Cadence, I can say we have done our bit in terms of our industry program where we have worked with colleges on providing tools at a subsidized rates, without getting into the details, right? I don't want to make it like a Cadence presentation here. We also have done internships, right? And a lot of companies have done internships. Yes, the number of internships are low because the total size of
the organization is small, so you cannot take probably more than 10% of our headcount as internships, but we have been taking internships. We have been taking new grads, constantly hiring new grads. So there is it's a great opportunity, and I think the industry is enabling it. And with this curriculum launch, and as it manifests itself in the in undergrad, we see an availability of a lot more talent that we find very useful and very well trained and ready to start contributing to the industry. Thanks a lot for this thing. Thanks, man. I tried to keep it in 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Now we have our next speaker, Suresh Kumar, CEO, Chipware Technologies, Bengaluru.
Hi, everybody. I would sincerely thank REVA Engineering College and also AICTE for giving us this opportunity to talk today about the semiconductor industry. I would just give you a brief on myself. I've been in this industry for about 35 years now. I've worked with various companies, including IBM, for the manufacturing sector in my earlier days. And Chipware Technologies has been in this domain for about 10 years now, and we have been supporting customers worldwide here. That's a big advantage for us. And very recently we tied up with a company called Precision Innovation. They have a path for taking your design into manufacturing. And for universities, we have a very special program where we allow students to get their chips manufactured, and Google is sponsoring this particular project. So it's a big advantage, for students, and this is in line with AICTE's thinking. And definitely, we can help many, many students, in our country to realize their chips on the designs what they have done. So, very recently, we have been going and, promoting this to many universities, and we have signed the MOUs with universities, in the south, and now slowly, we are moving to the northern universities also, to talk about this. And, we have engineers who are working with us for more than 10 years, both on the design part and also on the tool services part. They've been supporting our customers worldwide. So, I strongly feel that, we would be a very good supplement, to all the universities here in India, both from a design viewpoint and also from a manufacturing viewpoint. And these tools, whatever we provide, they are available on cloud, which is a very big advantage. And, we don't restrict the number of licenses which has to be used by the students. They can use it either from the university or they could use it from home. We give them access from anywhere they want. And another very big advantage we have is that so far about 150 designs have been taped out using this particular tool flow. And we have access to all these 150 designs for the students to play around with, which is a very, very big advantage, because none of the tools will provide you with sample databases. We are giving you all the sample design databases which have already been designed by the customers, and students would have access to it. And in this there are a lot of IPs also which are involved, and some of those IPs could be utilized by the students to create their own chips as a part of their complete system design. So I would like to say that this is a very big advantage. I would recommend that the students and also the faculty take advantage of this situation, and then make sure that you get into deep diving into this particular technology, and then see what best could be done to work together and make this a big success for India to promote their design as well as the manufacturing activity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next we have Dr. Rajiv Kumar Srivastava, Director, Design Enablement CTO Organization at NXP Semiconductors.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's very nice to see all of you here, and especially this program is very eye-opening for me with the presence of all AICTE members here. And I was able to see what they are doing. And in fact, if you see, most of us are hired through campus. And joining from one of the engineering college of India. And you know, we have grown so much in last 30 years in VLSI industry. And all the resources are coming from different engineering colleges of India. So thanks to AICTE for maintaining this ecosystem, which is continuously providing the resource requirement for all the industries. So let's have a clap for that. Okay. Now, I am also thankful to REVA University to organize this and in this campus, because this gives a direct interaction from industry and students, which is very good. Now, coming back to Professor Sitharam's comment that we should also do some social work. And that's very important. I fully agree with that. In fact, I have personally done some, I have taken a lot of courses in different colleges, not here, but of course, now I will start taking here also in Bangalore. But just to tell you that NXP is already into that. And we have a NXP Connect program, and there we invite, it's through invitation, and any student can join from college. And there we ask our expert to speak on a subject almost every quarter. And sometimes if we have more speakers available, we try to make it more frequently. So please join those, that Campus Connect program. It's a very nice program. And you will get all, and it's not very high level presentation. It's up to level which you can understand the new technologies which are emerging into the industries. So that's very important. Second thing is that NXP also launched the startup program where we encourage startups to come and show their work. And in fact, we are running this program for last 2 years. And you will be surprised to hear that we got 100 entries. And in fact, we all have to sit together and spend a lot of times to select. It was very difficult selection because you can assume that around 20%, the ideas were such a nice ideas that even we were thrilled to see that. But of course, we were allowed to select one only. And in that way, we are now currently sponsoring 2 startups which are running, pure Indian startup. In fact, Honorable Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar was here in NXP. He visited us last month, and we arranged the startups to present him. And he was also praising this thing from NXP because this is a good idea, and we will continue with this every year. We will be this year also. We have launched the program, and we are waiting for all the entries to come, and then we will sit and select one, and we will start sponsoring that. So this is how we are there in terms of social service, and we continue to do that. Now, just to give you a brief update about NXP. So you know, NXP is, it was earlier Philips, and then the semiconductor division was spin-off as NXP. We call it Next Philips actually, the NXP. So we are not all digital company. We are basically digital analog, a mixed signal company. And in fact, for last 2 years, we are doubled in number. So we have hired around 1,500 people in 2 years, 2 to 3 years, you can say. And it's all from colleges, not all colleges, some experienced people also. And we are expanding like anything. The reason is very simple. It's not low cost. It's the execution excellence we have in India. And that is the reason which is driving all the things coming here. I mean, for people used to say, I mean, when we started working, we were low-cost centers, and that's why we got the job. That was the main thing. Now it's gone. It's not low-cost center. But our guys are so nice, so expert in execution, that they are popular worldwide. And they are all graduates from Indian colleges, by the way. Even if you go to US, 33% population of VLSI is Indian people. They are all Indian origins now. They are all graduated from here. Maybe they have done PhD or post-graduation from there, but they are all graduated here in India. That's the most important point, and we should feel proud of it. Apart from that, we have also set up some labs in some universities. Of course, it's impossible to set up everywhere, but we are moving there. And in fact, I think we have 2 labs in Bangalore and 2 in Noida, where we have main design centers. So that way, and of course this year we have a little bit slowdown, so hiring is low, but we will keep on hiring next year for sure in 2024. And the hiring will be mostly in analog domain, digital domain, and embedded software also. Because nowadays, you cannot sell a chip without a software. You have to sell the whole system. So that's very important. And that's how embedded software has also become key point for any VLSI industry. It's not software, it's embedded software. Now coming to the point of this semiconductor manufacturing. Now this is something a dream come true if it happens. We are waiting for this for last 30 years. I remember during my PhD time, we used to have a 2-inch wafer in our lab, and I was one of the luckiest person who did some silicon work, some fabrication work in our lab in one of the college of India. And when I joined my first job, I was the only person who has seen silicon. Everybody was doing design, but it's all on computers. Nobody has seen the silicon. So since then, we are waiting that a foundry will open. Of course, CL was there, but that didn't grow up due to several reasons. But now, with this new Vedanta and Foxconn and the Government of India thing, which is happening in Gujarat, I think it's going to boost a lot of new startups which can have access to fabrication. They can fabricate their device, the idea, into a real silicon and show the prototype. And that is going to boost the whole ecosystem of a startup with a huge, I think, success. And of course, India is going to become a global leader. With that, I want to thank you all for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have B. Raghava Srinivasan, Associate Vice President, ICT Academy.
Thank you so much for being a good host. I don't have any presentation. I'll try to finish within 300 seconds. That's a guarantee, right? Yes, yeah. I am part of a unique initiative of Government of India where, like most of you are the member of ICT Academy, you know as what we do in the last 13 years, right? So I'll go directly to the like activity which has been given to me, right? Everyone knows that this electronics system design manufacturing industry is growing for the last 10, 20 years of time, and it has started dominating us, right? Just close your eyes on how many electronic devices you are carrying now. Just think, right? Minimum 1 or 2 devices. Each and every day, minimum 7 to 8 electronic devices will touch your life, right? Just imagine now the advantage of this technology like IoT is going to rule us, like where the ESDM domain is going to take the support from the IoT, AI kind of a concepts, where it is going to even more dominate us, right? And like we have actually lost the ground because we were thinking that like we will only assemble the ESDM, the chip level, we have not manufactured in the last 10, 15 years of time where we were focused only on the assembling component, where now after the Honorable Prime Minister has spoken during his Independence Day speech talking about the semiconductor industry is going to be a great supporter to reach 10 trillion economy within 2035, right? From there, the momentum has picked up. Various companies started focusing more on the manufacturing, right? I can give you one more example, right? Just go to Chroma, right? Store. Just see how many of the devices are manufactured in India. You'll be able to see only 1 or 2%. 98% of the devices are manufactured from other countries, right? Now it is the high time for us to wake up and create a lot of content which can go inside the academic curriculum so that we create employability not only for the blue collar job, we can also create white collar jobs in the country, right? So there are plenty of opportunities. One of the quote which I wanted to quote, given my managing director, fortunately he's the managing director of Bharat FIH, Foxconn for that matter, the assembling unit of Apple phones, right? So whenever we interact with him, he was pushing us towards like creating employability towards ESDM domain because he want more resources, right? The IT industry, if it can create 5 million jobs in the next 5 years of time, ESDM domain can create 10 millions of jobs. That kind of a potential ESDM domain has. That's where we need to take up this opportunity in a very, very effective manner so that we will have not only software engineers traveling from our houses, where ESDM engineers will travel to US, right? In the last 96, I can say, from 96, right, we have exported software engineers across the globe. Let us export ESDM domain engineers also from now. AICT has taken up a very good initiative where this is the high time, sir. You have taken up the right choice, and you have included the program related with VLSI design and IC manufacturing, where ICT Academy is also trying to contribute its services to the academic institutions. Since, again, I'm coming back to the point of my chairman, where he drives the entire ESDM domain, where we also would like to create center of excellences across the country, where we don't demand financial support from the academic institution. That's the first point, where we have requested the state governments as well as the central governments, since mine is a not-for-profit autonomy society, where government grant us, fund us to create center of excellences, to do not only research activity, where we get project statement from the industries, where we will give it to the students so that they can work on the problem statement, so that they can provide us the solutions. In that way, we are trying to create, there are 4 center of excellences for this financial year. We are planning to create with the funding of Government of India, Government of the few other states, as well as with the CSR funding of a few of the organization. So we will come to you with the problem statement so that you can provide your resources, where ICT Academy and in connection with AICT will be able to create center of excellences, as well as mentorship will be provided by the industry. So that's what I thought I'll just wanted to share it with you. Thank you so much to All India Council for Technical Education for this wonderful opportunity, and we can discuss offline during lunch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Anandiya Saha, CTO, Sankhya Labs. Consul, kindly pay.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I don't know if PDF can be made available.
Next slide.
No, okay, which one? This one?
Next slide.
Okay. So, I think the topic given to me was to discuss opportunities in electronic system design. Yeah, I think when I ask you to scroll next, you can scroll next. I'll not go into this. So you can go to the next slide. So I think this is basically, I just wanted to touch briefly upon what we do. I'll not go into this in too detail, but then I wanted to highlight a few things. The fact that we are doing a lot of work in communication related to 4G, 5G, satellite IoT, and all this is, so we are kind of like a wireless OEM. The other important thing is IPRs. IPRs are important, and I'll touch how it relates to the topic that we are discussing. We can go to the next slide. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So, no, previous one. So what I wanted to emphasize here is Sankhya Labs was a startup, and now we are acquired by Tejas Networks, which is a telecom OEM company. And we are basically in the business of doing 4G and 5G. And if you look at the way our experience has been, we have done everything from developing chips, semiconductor chips, to building systems out of it, and now we are building platforms. So we have kind of the entire spectrum of skills which is required is there, and this is something which any emerging telecom carrier or a telecom player will need in India. So what we are discussing today, is very foundational, in terms of ESDM opportunities. And let's go to the next slide. So I want to come directly to the opportunities. See, I would say, as a telecom OEM provider, the most important thing, if you look at VLSI and all that, is to create problems. Or in this case, not a problem creator, but create problems which the industry or which, has to solve. And, if you look at that, if you go to a telecom domain, everything is there, right from the, we build radios, telecom equipments, everything. And what does it need? At the foundation, you need VLSI chips. You need to build systems. You need to have the expertise all the way from digital, analog, RF, including mechanical and thermal design also. I mean, we kind of often tend to overlook that, but in a true sense of a holistic ecosystem, they also come in. See, right now I will tell you, we are building radios which needs to be there 24/7, sitting on a tower. The kind of heat it generates in a small enclosure is enormous, about 1.5 kilowatts. The kind of mechanical engineering and the thermal engineering required cannot be solved by software engineers or electronics engineers. You need them. You need the whole ecosystem. So what I wanted to emphasize is, in the telecom play, the way we look at it is, yes, VLSI and doing IC semiconductors is foundational, but you need the whole ecosystem. You need to have a producer, you need to have a consumer. Otherwise, just building that, there has to be someone. That is how, there should be a flow. The other thing is, of course, I just put some of the things which we are doing. I will not go into detail. The RU or the RRH is the radio. We have a broadcast radio and then a lot of automation things. We also have, a mobile receiver with broadcast chips. So essentially what I wanted to convey is that, if you have to get into any of this, you also need the foundational knowledge of not only VLSI, but also communication, signal processing, wireless communication. Because, see, if you are building a chip, who will give you the specifications? The country needs to have that capability. Otherwise it's all meaningless to me. So that is where, we help. I mean, that is the expertise which we bring in. And that is very, very key. I really liked Dr. Sitharam's inspirational talk, which is looking at the core of the technology. Where we come in is to look at the periphery of creating the right specs, because without that, there will be no inputs which go to the system. And that's very, very important as a nation, as a country, because we need to build to the specs which we want. So this slide was mainly to highlight that, not to highlight what products we have. Of course, we have products for satellite, IoT and all that. Again, built mainly because we had partnership with ISRO. We had an MOU with them. So essentially, everything is designed with the specifications in mind. And now let's go to the next slide. So this is basically showing the fact, this is where the semiconductor part comes in, if you look at this slide. And if you look at it, you need everything. And this is all which goes into a radio. You need processors, you need sensors, you need power management ICs. So hardcore analog design, power electronics, very much required. You can't do without them. RF components, Sense is doing amazing work, I see. And, actually they are on the path of building some really nice GAN devices and all that. We are in discussions. So these are all very common blocks which are there, which are required. But then, India as a country also needs to have those capabilities. So we help some of these, seed the specifications so that they can be built. And that's why I said, we should not look at VLSI or all of this in isolation. It has to be looked at in a whole ecosystem. And I think if you look at how TSMC started, Morris Chang, it was not like an island, the whole ecosystem around it, the whole system design, PCB, manufacturing, everything is required. Then only that whole thing stays alive. Otherwise, it drops. So, and again, modem, SoCs, RF, I have listed some very key components which we use in radios. And I think if you look at a smartphone also, you will find most of them there. So these are some of the capabilities which we need. And this is what should be like an input to what, the VLSI designers should look at, or specifications which go into it. I have just shown what we typically, can you go back? I think you have skipped one slide. One more. Yeah, so we have done, like 2 generations of software-defined radio. I think this slide movement is, yeah. And, very high, very low power, but then build on what we call as the software-defined radio platform. Now, software-defined radio is also being taught in colleges, with all the VLSI kits and all with FPGAs. But that is also something which, now we need to bring it to the level where, maybe we do design projects in academia, so that, people can build systems out of it. So the idea of, we need to create probably, I would say, not only do projects in isolation, but projects which can actually feed and create a bigger system. And that's how, we should look at it. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I think this is this. Yeah, I think this is the last slide. So besides all the design work, this is something, what I have put in this slide cannot be ignored. Testing and certification. Once you build a product, you need the skills to test it, to make sure it is compliant to regulations. So this is also a very, a very important domain which is often ignored. And this is where a lot of focus has to be there, because the number of people who are skilled in this are really, really less. Compliance to regulatory standards, safety standards, reliability, interoperability. When you build a product for anything, these are required. So this is something which, I would say, I don't know if it is there in the curriculum, but this is probably something which we should put on the evolutionary path, maybe as an extension. Because when a nation wants to build a product, you have to make sure it is compliant to all of this. Otherwise, nobody will use it. So very important. And then, of course, I had assembly and packaging services, and of course, repair and maintenance. So, and all of this also need a lot of engineering skills. So I would say, in a nutshell, VLSI is one island, but we should not look at it as an island. We should look at it as a continuum of building a whole system. And there are these many opportunities are there, because if you create this whole ecosystem, I mean, the amount of employment opportunities, the amount of skilled workforce that we will create in this country will be enormous. So with that, I'll conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next we have Himanshu Raval, Program Manager, Ansys Semiconductor, Bengaluru.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the last speaker for today. No? Okay. for this session. So I'm Himanshu. I work for ANSYS, and my role is I work with all the semiconductor companies in India. How to turn this up? Full screen? Maybe I'll manage it like that. No, it's not working. Swap is also not working. Okay, so without wasting more time, so I'll come to the point. Thank you so much. So, brief introduction about ANSYS. So, we are a 50 years old company. A lot of engineering colleges use us for mechanical simulation, for thermodynamics, chemical engineering. But today I'm here representing the semiconductor part. So the objective for my presentation is what the multinational companies in India are using. They're designing semiconductor chip, then they're doing package, then they're doing board. So they're actually making the entire thing in India. So my objective is to tell the academia people that you can also use some of these slides to create skilled manpower in India. So, what our multinational companies are doing in India, I am presenting here without taking the names of the companies, so that, some of these can be utilized for Make in India, skilled manpower, creating the skilled manpower in India. So this is a brief. We're a 50-year-old company, almost 1.91 billion, revenues. And this is our ecosystem. So we work with developers, we have partners, channel partners, so some of them are sitting here in the front row. We work with startups, we have industry leaders, and we also work with a lot of universities. So to top of that, so today we have partnership with 3,000 plus universities in 90 plus countries. So the objective of ANSYS is we want to do digital transformation leading to zero physical prototypes. So as you know, semiconductor is a very costly business. So you cannot just go for manufacturing. So our objective is that if we are always focused on simulating the entire chip, simulating the entire package, board, so that our customers spend minimum amount in doing the fabrication. So the spin-off does not happen. So that's our objective. So with this, I'm just sharing. ANSYS has a broad portfolio. We are into mission engineering, digital twin, safety analysis. So for today, our focus is on electronics, semiconductor, and optical, because this meeting is for semiconductor. So these are our product lines. I'm not going into detail of it. So, but for electronics, you might have heard about HFSS, which people use for antenna simulation. We have Maxwell, SI Wave, iSpec, which is our thermal simulator. And then on semiconductor, people use Red Hawk, which is electromigration EM/IR solution from us, Raptor, Veloce RF. This slide, we call it as aeroplane slide. So if you really see, aeroplane has a fuselage and then it has wings. So on the fuselage, if you really see, so if you typically see, people are talking about chip design. So, I have my friend over here from Cadence. So people use their solution for doing chip designs. They have been doing this thing for many, many years. Thank you for that. Where we come into picture is, so, from RTL to GDS, we say, please take either Synopsys or Cadence tools. We have nothing to do in that. But where we come into picture is, so with this EDA tools, companies and, some of the, so you have SMDP program, C2S program. A lot of colleges have used Cadence and Synopsys tools for designing IP, SoC, and companies are doing AI chip, mobile processor, some server chips and data center chips. So this list is, yeah, no problem, give me 5 minutes. So, so you can use these tools for doing all these processors, IPs. Where we come into picture is, how do you analyze this process, all these chips? So ANSYS comes into when you have to do analysis of these processors, of these chips for, mechanical, electromagnetics, thermal, power sign-off, reliability, EMI/EMC, SIPA, photonics, and security. So this is where ANSYS and, the traditional EDA partners, we work like complementary. So we don't compete with them. We say, please use them and then, use ANSYS. So this is where we say we are complementary solution. So this is our product collection. I'm not going into detail, but, we have on semiconductor, these are our product lines, Helix products. So end of the day, once a chip comes out, the chip will sit on a package will sit on a board, and this is how it will look like. So these days, a lot of work is happening in India, where people are talking about how can we make different package as well. So you have some of these things, let's say 2.5D IC, then you have WOW wafer on wafer, SOIC. A lot of research is happening on these kind of wafer designs as well. So where does ANSYS comes into picture? So now I'm going into beyond IC. Let's say we call it as off chip. So under off chip, now you want to run a thermal reliability of your wafer with chip, with board. So this is where ANSYS has a solution. Similarly, when you want to do a mechanical reliability, then again in this space we have a mechanical reliability solution. Then for package warpage modeling also we have a solution. And similarly, when a product gets designed, it will fall also. So people are doing vibration and shock reliability analysis. And if your people are doing, let's say, a chip which goes into automotive, so for automotive, functional safety becomes very important. And these days, a lot of people, a lot of research is also happening on optical transceivers. So, silicon is there, but now optical transceivers are also there. So ANSYS is playing a very important role when it comes to designing optical transceivers. So we have a product line called Numerical. People are telling your time is up. Sorry. And Learning Hub. So this is our platform where we have a lot of resources available where students community, our industry community, they go and they learn about our product. So I'm not touching base on that, but we have our team sitting here. Offline, you can touch base with them. And we are a very open platform. We work with Keysight, we work with Cadence, we also work with Synopsys. So ANSYS has partnership with all these players, and some of these things. So DAC is a platform where every year these customers go and present their solutions. So we are trusted. They trust us. So every year they publish paper with us. I'm sorry I had only 5 minutes and many things to talk, but this is a brief which I could tip. Thank you so much. Ma'am, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. On behalf of the AICTE panel members, as well as REVA University, I thank all the industry experts who have come here to share your experience. Thank you, sir. The second set of industry experts, I request you all to please come on this dais. Mr. Subba Reddy, Regional Head, NEC India. Rebanta, Community Program Manager, Intel. Nagarajan Subramanian, Director, Marvel India Private Limited. Shri Praveen, CTO, Metas Digital. Ms. Zahida Wasim, Education, Business and Strategies Leader, MathWorks. Peturu Raj, Chief Architect, Reliance Jio. S.T. Mehta, Sales Director, Entipal Technologies Private Limited, Bengaluru. I repeat, S.T. Mehta, Sales Director, Entipal Technologies Private Limited, Bengaluru. Rebanta, Community Program Manager, Intel. Mr. Subba Reddy, Regional Head, NEC India. Nagarajan Subramaniam, Director, Marvel India Private Limited. Shri Praveen, CTO, Metas Digital. Ms. Zahida Wasim, Education, Business and Strategies Leader, MathWorks. Peturu Raj, Chief Architect, Reliance Jio. I request all the industry experts to kindly restrain to 5 minutes, please. I request Dr. Dinesh Singh, Director, AICTE, to welcome our industry experts. To begin with, I request S.D. Mehta, Sales Director, Entipal Technologies Private Limited, Bengaluru. So please.
Very good afternoon to one and all. Seeing my name called out last, I thought I would be like Maninder Singh facing Craig Matthews on the last day of the tight test. Add injury to it, and probably I felt like Anil Kumble facing Ian Bishop in West Indies with a broken jaw. Anyway, so thank you all, especially AICTE and REVA Academy, for having us here. It's a wonderful occasion. Commemorating the launch of the model curricula on VLSI design, which is a very, very exciting thing for us, especially who really believe that this is probably the right time that things are moving in the direction it should be doing. Change cannot be given to you every time. You should bring the change. In case you're wondering who said it, it is Mr. Ramachandran Nair, the bus conductor from Valliamala to Velliambalam. Well, jokes apart, I thought it was a very serious audience. Let me, lighten the mood with a little bit of, a joke. To introduce myself, my name is Mehta, and I'm the founder director of N-Tuple Technologies. We are a 13-year young company, which is we are headquartered in Bangalore with 12 locations across the country. And in fact, we are partners of a couple of illustrious speakers who had come before me, Cadence, Ansys. And it's indeed an honor to be here, to be a part of this great occasion. And coming from an engineering background in computer science and engineering, strange to find somebody who's advocating for VLSI design. But yes, I strongly believe that VLSI design is here to change the world. The speeds, we talked about the differing speeds, how 20 megahertz turned into 3 gigahertz, and how was it possible? It is because of, yes, the IT industry is leveraging it, but it is the VLSI industry which is making it happen. Well, at the same time, we need to also be aware that the tsunami of the IT is coming. And now we need to be ready, whether we drown in that or whether we surf on that. We need to be ready. And I think it's a step in the right direction that we have that AICTE has taken upon as the leadership role to move in the right direction towards enabling the VLSI. Somewhere in the early 2000s, the Special Manpower Development Program began its journey, which has actually seen wonderful VLSI design engineers coming out. But this is going to be a defining moment where we are gearing up for 10 million jobs. That's something which is very, very heartening, especially at, when we face questions like people who are in the core engineering disciplines moving away from the actual their disciplines, from core electronics or core mechanical or core any other core disciplines, and they are moving into IT. Yes, it is something which needs to be looked at. In fact, Anandya talked about the importance of understanding electronics as a product and not just as design. And that's very, very important, very, very pertinent. And unless and until somebody has spent eons, developing a product, I don't think anyone would be talking that particular language. N-Tuple working with both the industry and the academic segment, we understand the pains and the needs of the industry and what kind of specialized manpower is required. So and that we have taken ourselves a mandate upon ourselves to create bridge the gap between the industry and academia. Well, you may ask, what can a small company, a tiny company like N-Tuple Technologies do? Well, I would like to refresh your memories to the epic Ramayana, where a small squirrel tried to help Rama construct the bridge from India to Sri Lanka. Well, we will do our bit. We will continue to do our bit, and we believe that it is our responsibility as Indians to contribute to the growth of our nation, especially in something what we believe in very, very strongly. Now, why do we need tools? Now, anyone can build anything without tools. We do. Let's say, for example, I can build a house, I can build a furniture with my bare hands. Well, I would be able to do it. My hands would get a little bit bloodied at the end, but tools can change the way everything can completely happen. If I were to ask anybody, anybody from the audience who's good in maths, can I see your hands way up high, please? Well, nobody's answering. I'm going to ask very simple questions. No problem. Actually, I had asked this question to a college audience where there were professors and there were students, and they said, yes, tools are important. And they said, okay, everybody, you will use tools? I said, yes, we will use tools. I said, what is 2 into 2? And everybody from all the corners, 4. I said, 4 into 4, 16, everybody. And then I said, what is 24? What is 254 into 572? And there was a sepulchral silence. The importance of tools. And a beautiful tool has been played in front of me telling that my time is up, right? So we need to, I'll just take about 30 seconds more before I complete my speech, is that we need to understand the importance of design, but we need to also understand the importance of products. But more important is the importance of teachers. My parents expected me to go into the medical field. My teachers told, you are fit for engineering. Guess who I followed? Teachers have a very, very powerful influence on your students, and you have a defining role to play in the future of the nation. Teachers are not just people who will, who teach and, allow people to just, pass out. You actually need to make them graduate. And I tell you something, unless and until you believe it can happen, it will not happen. And that doesn't take the onus away from the students. Students, if there's got to be improvement, it is the students' responsibility also to ensure that you glean as much as possible from the teaching community and you move ahead. Well, my 30 seconds up, and I come to a close. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity once again. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to request Rebanta, Community Program Manager, Intel. So, over to you.
Will there be any slides? You had sent already. Okay, it's fine.
Console, kindly play the slides.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Thanks to AICTE and REVA University for arranging this conference and giving us this opportunity to discuss about. So today I will be discussing about the Intel Unnati program. So myself, Rebanta, I am managing the Intel Unnati program. And it is one big initiative by Intel. So I hope I need not give you any introduction about Intel. Everybody knows it very well. It's a market leader in the semiconductor industry. And Intel has taken a major step in the skill development as a skill development initiative in the year of 2021, in the month of October, which is the Unnati program. So this is one such program. So this is a major step to bridge the gap between academia and industry, where Intel has come out and opened its gates to all categories of institutions and to give them the kind of whatever the industrial exposure they need, the kind of expertise in terms of mentoring, in terms of training, in terms of the right set of infrastructure which is needed by them, and to get them upskill. So which is the basic need of this hour. So this is what Intel is focused on currently. And this is something which we are really very much desperate in terms of bringing the digital transformation in our country, where we are talking about $5 trillion economy by 2025. So, so as a part, it was launched, as I told, in the October 2021. And basically, we are proposing to set up incubation center, or you can say center of excellency, in various campuses. So this is a kind of scope for them to get their hands dirty on the kind of tools and frameworks which they need when they go to the industry. So students do not get that kind of scope usually. So this is what one of the initiatives where we are giving them a direct access to this. So here we are also providing a course content which will be industry recognized course, and specifically for all professors, faculties and teachers, so that they get trained and then they can train their students. And then they can apply for certification, which is very much important for nowadays. And also, like we have as of now 100+ labs across India, and we have, after collaborating with 86+ institutions. So this is one of the milestones which we have achieved by end of 2022. So this year we have a target for 150 labs. So it's like one of our biggest goals for this year. So this is the kind of course. You can just get a very brief glance about this course.
And similar courses we are working on, we are coming out with VLSI as well, so which is which is the theme of this today's conference. And we have some more courses which are available for IoT, HPC, as well as on smart mobility. So we are going to come out with a lot of new courses and labs. So what are the kind of incubation centers and center of excellences which we are proposing is the different kind of labs which we are setting up in the campuses. So once, okay, I will just skip through because time is less. So I just want to focus on the key important things. So one such lab is the Unnati AI lab, so which is a kind of AI lab with all HPC, all high performance computing servers and with Intel Xeon processors. So coming with 2 to 3 servers. Basically, it will be a kind of giving the students specifically for beginners to try out with the kind of servers they need to work on to run their AI and machine learning models. So we have then labs on AI and IoT, so which is a bit more advanced in terms of computation. So this will be more helpful for application development and some kind of research used by the students to train their AI models. And this data will be, since it is based on a real time and continuously getting upgraded, so these models will be much more efficient and much more accurate compared to any other models which are based out of a ready-made data set. So then this is one of the recently launched labs, which is the high performance computing lab. So here this lab is specifically focused on training on parallel algorithms and various other parallel computing. So this is specifically for high-end research. So who are looking for some supercomputing research, and so that's what this lab is focused on. So I will just try to take you fast through the slides. Then this is what our community program is based on. So we have multiple community programs like the Unnati Grand Challenge and Unnati Research, Unnati Catalyst, and the kind of Ignite programs which we have. So these programs are basically for giving the students the right set of engagements and activities they need to focus on while doing this kind of industrial trainings or industrial engagement with us through this Unnati program. So they can get a scope for getting a direct connect with the industry experts through these kind of programs. And also there is a scope for internship through our Grand Challenge, which they can apply for, and based on the skill sets which we can assess by the various problem statements given to them as a part of this challenge, and they need to submit the solutions. So from there we will pick some of the best talents from there, and this is what we have framed. And also we have a research launchpad specifically for faculties who are doing deep end research and they want some kind of sponsorship or some kind of assistance from us to do their research work. So we are even coming forward for this. So many more labs are coming, and thanks a lot to AICTE for giving us recognition and creating the awareness about the Unnati program to all. So that's all from our side. And if you guys are interested, you can please connect us through this website and through this email ID, and we will be glad to collaborate with all of you in this field. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Subbareddy, Regional Head, NEC India. Sir, over to you.
No. Thank you to Professor Mani for inviting NEC for this event, and REVA University for hosting, and to AICTE overall for bringing up this course or curricula. I have basically I'm a sales guy, so while I have done my engineering, I don't think I know the full form of VLSA also, to be frank, but I can understand what kind of importance it plays in everyone's role, because I do sell the products related to it. The few points I have highlighted which I want to bring is NEC is a 124-year-old company, and we provide solutions right from probably in the satellites in space. So we have solutions for satellites or something in space, till the submarine, which we call it a submarine cable, and everything in between. When I say solutions, pertaining to ICT, information and communication technology in these areas. So obviously the telecommunication, VLSI, chip manufacturing, HPCs, you name anything, we are there providing some kind of solutions to the customers, and particularly in India, we are around 70 years old. And talking about VLSI, NEC has got its own VLSI design suite, which we call it as cyber workflow, which has been launched in 2012 and been used by many companies and government departments as such. And when we are talking about this academia, first thing I understood from many of the industry experts saying that there is a huge demand for this kind of expertise, or the people or the students with this kind of expertise. And since that AICTE has come up with this kind of curriculum, sure that maybe 4 years or 5 years down the line, we see a lot of people coming up with this kind of expertise, and slowly the kind of production or fabrication of these chipsets would increase. Hence, there will be a lot of patents coming up, there would be a lot of products being launched, particularly in the automation. When I say automation, it can be any the physical automation or industry automation or a software automation. And more or less everywhere a chipset would be required. And this is going to not just create the jobs only in the VLSI or telecommunication industry, but it can create jobs in everywhere, because you need a software to work. And there will be a lot of data, and there will be a lot of compute and storage required. So even the jobs would come up, would increase in these areas as well. And good to hear that, and there would be a lot of opportunities to serve the customers, or serve the industry, or serve the organizations as such in these all areas and more. And the contribution from NEC for the education sector, or the education and research organizations, we NEC, what we are doing is like, we are partnering with some colleges or universities where we bring our HPC devices, we call it as Vector. We are setting up a COE where they can, the students or the faculty, we train the faculty, we call it as train the trainer. And they work with the students and they develop some AI models and test it on our HPC devices. And they can launch it in the market. This is one program we bought, which I thought would be relevant for this stage. And we can, in fact, I'm not sure with REVA University if we are talking, but there are multiple universities like AVIT and Chitkara University from Punjab, where we have already set up, and IIT Bombay, where we have set up the lab and we are testing some AI models, particularly on the crop scope. With this, I want to come to an end because my time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Nagarajan Subramaniam, Director, Marvel India Private Limited.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Nagarajan from Marvel Semiconductor. A small introduction about me. So I have close to 30 years of experience, in which I have 7 years of teaching experience. Yes, I also belong to teaching community. I was teaching for 7 years during my initial careers, and I moved to industry. So I need to thank IICTE for arranging this one, and also REVA University for this wonderful opportunity. So personally also I want to thank AICTE and all the teaching community. I'm standing here only because of AICTE and the teaching community. Thank you all. So today 2 of my questions got answered. I was having 2 questions in my mind. One is, both of them related to this topic. that is VLSI design and IC manufacturing. So first question is, how come being such a wonderful country, we have a lot of people in this, why we are not getting enough talent? For that, the doctor earlier spoke, he gave a different version of VLSI. He said, very low students interested in VLSI. So that was the reason why we are not getting enough talent in this country. And what is the solution for that? That also, whatever we are seeing from morning to now, what the presentation came from AICTE and different professors, that's a solution for that. So we are on the right path. And second one is the second topic of this program, IC manufacturing. So if you see VLSI design, as of today, we are world leaders. We do everything here. I echo Mr. Rajiv's voice on that. So we do everything in India, whatever happens anywhere in the world in terms of VLSI design. Earlier days, it was a low-cost center. We used to get low-quality work, but nowadays, it's not a case anymore. We design from here. We do everything from India. But coming to the second one, the IC manufacturing, we all know we don't have enough fabs here. Again, it's a catch-20 situation. There is no enough talent. That professor from IIT Hyderabad, when he gave a presentation about the courses, it gives complete answer for that. I'm very happy to get the questions answered here, and I'm in the right forum today. How many students are here in this room? Can you please raise your hands? Good. How many of you are interested in taking VLSI as a career? Not many? Okay, so again, I'm going back to doctor's doctor's version of VLSI. Very less number of students are interested in VLSI. This will change by all these activities, what we are doing together from industry, academia, and AICTE, right? This is going to change with the right things are in place now. If you see a design, right, there are a lot of things are there. You can see design is on execution part and innovation part. So execution is like push button, right? Somebody says whatever is there, you do push button, everything will get executed. That is one portion of it. And second portion is challenges and a lot of innovation should happen. That should come only from academia and industry collaboration. If you see, the technology is changing like anything. When I started my career in India 2001, I was working 250 nanometer technology. Today, we all know, right, that industry is working sub-5 nanometer technologies. So it changes very fast. And one of the law in VLSI industry is Moore's law, right? Every 18 months, the number of transistors in a given area is doubled. Going by this standard, a lot of challenges comes. It's not anymore the 2 years back. Whatever you do in 2 years back, it's not same now. So a lot of challenges comes. We need a lot of innovative minds. We need a lot of research should go on. So that way I see the actions taken by AICTE and the Government of India is really going in the right direction. So we'll be the world leader moving forward in IC manufacturing also. So some of previous speaker told that's going to open up a lot of things. Yes, IC manufacturing, once it started and right talents comes in a couple of years, we'll be definitely in a different situation in this area also. So once again, I thank AICTE, REVA University, and all the students who are here for this opportunity and listening to me. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Ms. Zahida Wasim, Education and Business and Strategies Leader, MathWorks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As they say that they always reserve the best for the last, I was hoping that I'll probably be called the last, but it turns out I'm this last but one. But nevertheless, I think I would like to thank REVA University and the AICTE committee to actually provide an avenue for us to speak a little bit about the company that I represent, some of the workflows that we have, and why we are here today in this forum. So how many of you are familiar with the name MathWorks? Can I have a show of hands, please? Wow, that's great. Because this used to be my standard question when I used to actually do seminars at engineering colleges, and very few hands will go up. When I ask the second question, how many of you are aware about MATLAB as a product? All hands will go up, right? So I represent the company that develops MATLAB and Simulink, and I represent the education vertical at MathWorks. And today I'm here because I am some way connected with VLSI design and IC manufacturing, and that's because earlier, before MathWorks, I used to actually work for Cadence Design Systems. I think a speaker was there from Cadence. I spent nearly about 10 years at Cadence Design Systems. So IC design and manufacturing is not something new to me. And I'm really very happy to see that there is a particular course or a curricula that has been formed. I remember that one of my first interaction with academia was when this was way back in the late 1990s, where we were actually huddled together, Synopsys, Cadence, and a few other companies huddled together in, it used to be called as the Department of Electronics earlier, now it's called MIT, and we were putting together our heads in terms of what we should be doing in the SMDP program. The availability of those tools was restricted to a few institutions in the country, primarily the IITs. But it's really great to see that many of the companies like Cadence, Synopsys, MathWorks, etc., have made these tools available to a large population of our academic community. And I think it's great to see that the recognition in terms of why VLSI design and IC design and manufacturing is important is being recognized by AICTE in the form of bringing together a UG curriculum. I know when I used to sell Cadence products, it used to be mostly the MTech courses that were actually sort of using the tools. But it's really nice to see that there is a good amount of effort going in to popularize this in the undergraduate level, and not just undergraduate, but even at the diploma level. So that was a little bit of an introduction, but I would also like to talk a little bit about the company that I represent. As I mentioned, it's an academic vertical that I represent, and from academia, we have a very strong team of about 30 people working in academia and actually working with the professor community, the student community, as well as the research community to kind of accelerate the pace of engineering and scientific research that happens in the industry as well as in academia. Now, I would say that I would actually take a few words from Mr. Saha's talk, where he mentioned that VLSI design is one portion of it, but there's a lot of peripheral things that come in. And he really, really hit the nail actually in terms of speaking about the specs, the system design. We really need to kind of look at how to build capability of engineering problem solving by really building in system development. And that is where I think the tools and the products that we and MathWorks provide becomes very, very important. And we've been professing about the need for building in modeling and simulation techniques that are really very important in system development, which actually then feeds into the foundational technologies for implementing them on chip or on any manufacturing processes. From a product perspective and a workflow perspective, we have several products in our portfolio that actually helps to kind of have an integrated workflow, which starts from actually having an intent, a design intent, building an algorithm, simulating that, and then actually driving it down in different parts of implementation. It could be an embedded system implementation, it could be a VLSI design implementation, it could be an ASIC implementation. So we really are at the top of the pyramid where we're really building all those tools that are required to realize the design intent. And to support that, we have all facets of semiconductor design covered through our workflows, whether it is a digital design, whether it is an analog or mixed signal design, or even in terms of semiconductor manufacturing and testing, RF and IC design as well. So our product portfolio encompasses all of this, and we help these designers to be able to kind of design at a system level and also verify. And we have products that actually helps to co-verify and co-develop all these algorithms along with other EDA tools like Cadence and Synopsys. So with that, if you would like to have more information, please feel free to visit our website. There is a lot of content and information on that. From an education perspective, if you would like to actually work with us in terms of curriculum development, in terms of student projects, or any kind of research that you would be interested in, please feel free to reach out to us. I would be around during the lunch, and I'd be happy to kind of network with everybody on that. So with that few talks, maybe I'll be the one that probably actually finishes before time. So thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Shri Praveen, CTO, Metas Digital. The last speaker for the day.
Thank you. And good afternoon. I know it's a nice place to be in between lunch and you. But I'll take a very quick strategic view of what we've discussed so far. I'm very happy with what Shiva brought out in terms of how the entire curriculum was designed, right? The design side to manufacturing side. Now, there are specific points I just want to convey and look at it, right? If you see the number of industrial shifts happening today are phenomenally high, right? Look at the whole concept of mass production that was there in the manufacturing era to mass customization in the era today. Phenomenal shift, right? You can take a segment of one and drive a lot more customization. Look at the other side of it. Look at information economy earlier on, to platform economy 10 years back, to today we talk of token economy, right? And that token economy means a lot from a semicon perspective. And we'll probably look at some of it very, very briefly as we go through. The third dimension I want to talk of when I talk of a shift is the shift from a machine age to a system age, right? I'll tie all these three things and why I'm looking at system age being extremely critical from a ESDM standpoint is extremely important as we go through, right? The second aspect I'll talk about is about the IT. I mean, India grew as an IT ecosystem very strongly over the years. The I is being dropped from that. If you've predominantly noticed the shift, the information part of IT is being dropped. Today we talk of a lot of it as technology. And predominantly technology will end up being what we're talking of in the current context from a VLSI to semicon standpoint. Because if I look at any of the virtual environments we're creating, in the physical world, if semicon is X, in the virtual world, it's going to be 2X. Because everything in the virtual world, in a metaverse world, is going to be created by VLSI technology. Every interaction, every transaction, every touch point that is there in the virtual world has to be computed, modeled, and all of that at minimal or zero response times and zero latencies, right? So the shift is huge, and the IT shift is big there. And the last part I'll talk about is when I looked at the whole philosophy. I'll go back to 1987 when I was deciding my engineering. I first got civil, then got into computer science, and I was very passionate about electronics and telecommunication, and I did take that for my graduation, right? And when I passed out in 1991, my aspiration was to take electronics and telecommunication. Did not have too many jobs. I did take up a hardware job at that point of time. But if I look back at the last 30 years, 33 years, two things I want to talk of. I was very scared of material science in my engineering days, right? And I realized, I ran innovation lab globally for the last 10 years. One of the biggest gaps I've seen in the way we think today is not being familiar with material science. I would definitely request to make material science as a topic exciting for students, maybe bring it down at the second sem or third sem. Right? If people learn history in school, material science in first sem or second sem should not be a challenge, at least at that age. After they come to final sems, they may be a little choosy about it. That's one. The second and most important, I think, today is the ability to think critically and to make decisions, right? Because system thinking is becoming more important. We're seeing that shift from machine age to system age, and engineers have to be able to critically analyze and make decisions. Those are two aspects which I would definitely be happy to see in some form being included as we go through. Thank you, and pleasure talking to all of you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Sundaresan, Deputy Director, AICTE, to render the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. Dignitaries on the dais, off the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a great pleasure for me to be a part of this unique function, launch of model curricula on VLSI design and semiconductors. It's a unique program that has been designed by AICTE, and especially with Honorable Chairman, Professor T.G. Sitharam, sir. I just express my heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Chairman for this one. Thank you, sir. The next, I want to thank Honorable Chancellor of REVA University and Honorable Vice Chancellor of REVA University and his team for giving us an opportunity and giving all the facilities in conduct of this program. The next, I also want to thank our advisors, Professor India Saxena and Professor Mamta Agarwal and Professor Ramesh Unikrishnan
for being the mind behind this organizing of this function. Thank you, sir. And also I want to thank all the industry experts who have been a part of this one. This also the faculties from various colleges, and we could understand that around 400 to 500 faculties have joined through online also. I thank everyone for being a part of this function and making it as a very successful one. Thank you. Thank you.